Chronicles of the Stellar Mecha War. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. The Base Lady. Lin Fan runs to the training room of the reserve team every day. As time goes by, more and more team members see her on the road. Everyone is suspicious of such a strange person. They communicated privately and did not get any useful information. They only knew that she, Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua belonged to the same project team and were also drivers. Everyone in the reserve team knew that Song Ren was a representative of the peak of strength. Even the instructor they are training now is a little worse than Song Ren. Even Lee Chun-hua, who looks a little silly, is also in the first echelon. The new project that the two of them were selected for at the same time must not be an ordinary project. But why would there be a woman like Lin Fan who can't even meet the ordinary standards in such a project team? Everyone racked their brains, but couldn't figure out the reason. And Song Ren was extremely tolerant of her. She was often seen walking slowly when running. Song Ren, who was always known for his strictness, didn't say a word, but just accompanied her silently. Not only did he help to take the coat, but he was also afraid that she was thirsty and took the initiative to hand her water. Could it be? Someone's thoughts diverged and thought of a guess. What? Why don't you just say it? I hate people who only finish talking and are not honest. Look, Captain Song is a man, and that woman is a woman. Team member A, who started the topic, raised his eyebrows and made eyes. You are talking nonsense. The others looked down on him collectively, as if no one could see it. Oh, you guys. Team member A, on the contrary, looked very pleased, as if he was the only one who found the bright spot. Captain Song is over 30 years old, and I heard that he is not married yet. Forget it. Team member B retorted unhappily. Don't you just want to say that Captain Song is interested in that woman? Isn't it? Team member A gestured for them to look. Song Ren's Heng handed over a towel. Lin Fan took it and wiped the sweat off his head and handed it back to him. Song Ren took it and continued to accompany him leisurely. Look at it this way, it seems that it makes sense. The other team members nodded in unison. What's the reason? You guys think Captain Song is vulgar? Although team member B didn't know the truth, he believed that the facts would not be what they thought. Who is Song Ren? Even if he likes a woman, there is no need to get her into the reserve team and use such an obvious backdoor. What? Why did you get her in? Didn't you meet her at work? Look at that woman. She hasn't run far yet, and she starts to walk slowly again. The cleaning ladies in their reserve team can run faster than her. And although Song Ren is very powerful, he doesn't have the authority to get anyone into 800. Isn't this human nature? Don't men have to find a partner when they reach a certain age? Team member A disagreed. Didn't Lee Chun-hua get married? Many people in our team are married. It's normal for Captain Song to find a partner at this age. The other team members agreed. Come on, who are you disgusted with? A few more team members came over and joined their discussion. Even if Captain Song wants to find a partner, does he have to find someone like that? That's not necessarily true. Don't people say that couples should have contrasting beauty? Maybe Captain Song likes this kind of weak type, a team member suggested. Everyone looked at Lin Fan, who was shaking with every step, and found that Song Ren had a tendency to look back, so they quickly retracted their gaze. Everyone felt that Lin Fan was too weak. How can she be called weak? Don't tarnish the word weak. Someone sneered at Lin Fan's state. That's right, even if Captain Song wants to find a wife, there are still good unmarried girls in our team. Why look for one like that? Someone complained. You mean? This sentence immediately aroused other people's associations. I didn't say anything. The person who just spoke immediately stopped the other person from saying, if she hears us, we're all done. Everyone received the warning and shut up. I think it may not be a simple relationship between a man and a woman. It didn't take long for another busybody to speak up. Then what do you think is going on? Think about it. What kind of person has the authority to arrange someone with such a poor physique into the reserve team, let Captain Song accompany him closely, and make everyone else shut up? This person's point of view was very accurate, which made others suddenly realize. CUISUO? He was the most powerful person in 800. Unlikely, someone with CUISUO's personality would not do such a thing. Everyone knew CUI Yan's style very well. Deputy Chief Z is also a possibility. Someone suggested. If it's Deputy Chief Z's granddaughter who wants to join the Special Affairs Bureau, then Chief CUI will definitely give Deputy Chief Z face no matter what. Not a granddaughter? I seem to have heard that the girl's surname is Lin. Someone heard Lee Chun-hua call Lin Fan granddaughter? Or niece's granddaughter. After all, she is an important relative. Someone added. Or maybe it's the child of a big leader above. Someone thought of a big leader named Lin, and just as he proposed this idea, he felt it was not appropriate to talk about it, so he stopped talking immediately. It's not a child. It looks like she's at least 30. After all, she's from a leader's family. It's not the treatment that can make Chief CUI acquiesce and Captain Song accompany her. Whether it's CUI Yan or Song Ren, they are not flattering people. If they have to find a reason, then the children of big leaders are indeed the most suitable. There are 2 big leaders with the surname Lin, and I don't know which family they are from. A group of people looked in the direction where Lin Fan left, and there was no one on the runway. Not long after, the title of Miss of the Base gradually spread. It was unknown who first proposed it, but when Song Ren heard about it, the entire reserve team knew about it. The eldest lady of the base, Lee Chun-hua, was lifting weights. It's quite appropriate. Because 800 was hidden under the flight base, and the 2 organizations were in the same area. The reserve team worked in 800, and they were psychologically close to the flight base, and often referred to the area occupied by the entire 800 and the flight base as a base. Song Ren was instructing Lin Fan to do muscle strengthening training, glanced at him, and said nothing. Lee Chun-hua didn't care whether anyone talked to him or not, and said to himself, isn't Lin Fan the eldest lady of the base? Chief CUI has to be careful when he meets her. He was talking about CUI Yan's interruption of monitoring. Lee Chun-hua once thought that CUI Yan would ask them to keep monitoring all the time. Although this result made them put down their psychological burden, this decision was very strange from CUI Yan's perspective. There were no outsiders in the training room, so Song Ren didn't correct Lee Chun-hua. He also felt strange about stopping monitoring. How come I'm the eldest daughter? Lin Fan didn't care what people said about her, but Lee Chun-hua said it, which made her feel a little depressed. She didn't do anything, so how could she be the eldest daughter of the base? It spread all over the reserve team. Lee Chun-hua wiped the sweat off her face, and his subordinates kept talking. They say you're the daughter of a big leader. The daughter of a big leader? Lin Fan happened to be on a break, so he sat on the ground and chatted with Lee Chun-hua. I was wondering, which big leader's daughter am I? I don't know. It's spread so detailed. Haha, if I didn't know who you are, I would probably believe it. Lee Chun-hua still remembered that when she heard them talk so vividly, she almost thought they were talking about someone else. They all said you came here to get experience, and under the pressure of the big leader, Chief CUI had no choice but to add you to the reserve team. Lee Chun-hua laughed and talked about the rumors. They also said that you had a crush on the boss and used your power to force him to accompany you for training. The boss endured the humiliation. Ha ha ha. He couldn't help laughing as he spoke. If he wasn't a participant, he would really believe it. Okay. There are dozens of people in the reserve team, mostly men in their 20s and 30s, and only a few girls. Such an outrageous story could be spread. It proves that gossip is something that will be spread by people of all ages and genders, no matter where they are. Bearing humiliation? Lin Fan looked up at Song Ren, whose lips curled slightly. She felt that Song Ren was very satisfied with his current life. Song Ren felt her gaze and gave her a bright smile. Did you have a good rest? The eldest lady of the base cannot stop either. Lin Fan must rise. Everyone, please vote for encouragement. Chapter 102 Balance. Compared to the rumors that were spread beyond recognition, the next training was what Lin Fan really cared about. Although Song Ren had adjusted the intensity according to her qualities, it could be said to be very relaxed, but for Lin Fan, it was still very hard. The consequence of suddenly increasing the intensity of exercise was that Lin Fan's muscles were sore every day. This was a phenomenon of lactic acid accumulation, proving that the current amount of exercise exceeded her body's load. If she chose to rest or maintain the intensity, the soreness would naturally disappear in 2 days. But Lin Fan endured the soreness every day and broke through little by little. The intensity kept increasing every day, and the soreness could not disappear. If Song Ren had not helped Lin Fan to massage her hard after the end, Lin Fan would not be able to walk out of the door of the training room by herself. Lee Chun-ho watched her break through her limits every day. Although the amount of exercise was insignificant to him, Lin Fan's perseverance shook him. As a result, he trained harder. During the massage, Song Ren could intuitively feel that Lin Fan's muscles were getting stronger, and the soft pork belly gradually turned into solid muscles. As Lin Fan's exercise intensity increased, his physical fitness became stronger and stronger, his fat gradually disappeared, his muscles became tighter and tighter, and his body lines became smoother and smoother. This improvement was not only reflected in Lin Fan's body, but also in Xingchen. In the first transformation, after strengthening the training, Xingchen's standby time actually lasted for 20 seconds. This made everyone very excited. It proved that physical fitness does have an important impact on the length of standby time. Not only did the length increase, but Lin Fan's state after the transformation also became more natural. It may be because of the increase in muscle strength. The moment the mecha faded away, the sudden increase in overweight seemed to be alleviated, and the fatigue was no longer so strong. On the other hand, the consumption of Lin Fan by the mecha seemed to have reached a certain balance. Wu Yi no longer needed to increase food intake to offset Xingchen's self-consumption of Lin Fan in the non-transformed state. At this time, Lin Fan's appetite was about twice that of Song Ren. You know, as reserve players, Song Ren and Lee Chun-ho's appetite was originally larger than that of ordinary people. Because they have a lot of training every day and have to prepare for high intensity consumption, they will not accumulate fat. Lin Fan eats more than them, exercises less than them, but never gets fat. In order to prevent Lin Fan's weight from falling below 100 jin, and to have enough energy to support daily exercise and consumption of Xingchen, Wu Yi has been monitoring her weight and constantly adjusting her diet. Although she envied her for not getting fat, no matter how much she ate, Wu Yi knew in her heart that this was not a healthy state. Everyone showed great expectations for Xingchen's standby time. Song Ren even wondered what kind of state Xingchen would reach if Lin Fan's physique was trained to the level of a reserve player. Lin Fan could tell from everyone's expressions that a high intensity exercise would last for a long time. She gradually got used to falling asleep in fatigue and soreness every day and repeating the process the next day. Only when Xingchen's condition was better, she would be better. Lin Fan knew very well that the hard work now was for the future. In this way, under the expectations of everyone, Lin Fan's physique became stronger and stronger, and Xingchen's standby time became longer and longer. The scientific trio took the opportunity to test some more complex data. For example, Xingchen's ability to resist sound waves, lightning strikes, and electromagnetic interference. Every time they get the value, they are happy. The weather is getting colder, and October is coming. Lin Fan is jogging on the track wearing the reserve team's autumn jacket. In more than a month, she has gradually become accustomed to such exercise intensity. Every day she is sweating, and her hands are shaking, and she can't lift them. But as long as she persists, she will find that the next day, she can do the same movements more easily than the day before. Progress is happening every day, and she can clearly feel her changes. Lin Fan breathed in the slightly cool air and suddenly felt a pain in her knees. She slowed down and slowly stopped. What's wrong? Lee Chun-ho, who was accompanying her, found that Lin Fan suddenly fell behind. Does your knee hurt again? Song Ren glanced at her knees and found that they were a little stiff when she walked. Xingchen's standby time can be stabilized at more than 5 minutes, and the state is getting more and more stable. But as the standby time increases, the burden on the joints becomes heavier. At present, no one has found a good solution, and Lin Fan can only rely on himself. Yeah, it hurts a little suddenly. I'll take a break. Lin Fan rubbed his knees, not wanting to stop for too long, and continued to walk slowly forward. Lee Chun-ho ran first at Song Ren's signal, and Song Ren stayed to accompany Lin Fan. Does it hurt a lot? Song Ren has recently added hot compresses to massage. Wu Yi even treated Lin Fan with acupuncture and cupping. It was only then that everyone knew that she also had a practicing certificate as a Chinese medicine therapist. Although these methods will make Lin Fan's pain better, they cannot cure it. After all, each transformation requires the bones to be stretched to a very large distance. The longer the Xingqian standby time, the more painful the joints will be afterwards. This seems to be unavoidable. It's okay, I'm used to it. Lin Fan said lightly. It hurt a lot at the beginning, but it's much better now. While they were talking, they were overtaken by a team of more than a dozen people. This is the third wave of people today. Lin Fan and his team didn't care, but the people in the reserve team couldn't help but talk about it after they ran away. The young lady is tired again today. Someone whispered. Captain Song is no longer the same Captain Song as before. Another person complained. That's for sure. In front of the base's eldest lady, everyone has to stand aside. Someone behind said. In their opinion, the few steps Lin Fan ran were not good enough. Although the training intensity of the reserve team cannot be compared with that of the Special Operations Department, except for the less strict discipline, the training is much stronger than that of ordinary troops. The weakest female member of their team can easily cross country for 5 kilometers. Lin Fan's running and walking are just like a child playing a game. If she was not in the reserve team, it would be fine, but she always wore the clothes of the reserve team, which made people pay attention and always complain. Although everyone knew that she was here to gild her reputation, it still felt that she alone lowered the strength of the entire reserve team. In addition, Song Ren's constant protection, those who did not believe that she was the leader's daughter began to believe it slowly. The title of the base's eldest lady is no longer limited to the reserve team. Even the underground bunker, office building, and even the medical department and flight base know that there is such a special person in the reserve team. Lin Fan did not care about such popularity and continued his hard training. Seeing that her muscle strength had improved quite well, Song Ren added combat training to improve her flexibility and explosive power. After the demonstration and explanation, Lin Fan performed a few nearly standard strikes. Song Ren raised his eyebrows and asked, have you practiced before? I also want to have a physique that doesn't put on weight. Ha 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 ha. Vote for encouragement. Chapter 103 Kunjin. When Lin Fan just returned to her hometown from Gao, she signed up for many classes to distract herself. There were foreign language classes, piano classes, painting classes, and a gym. After 2 months of training in the gym, she felt that kind of training was not very meaningful to her. She turned around and signed up for a martial arts gym, where she learned some traditional routines and the basics of Sanda. Why did you suddenly think of practicing these? Li Chunhua asked curiously, while punching a sandbag next to her. Nowadays, it is usually children who are sent to martial arts gyms for training, right? Lin Fan was 32 when she went there, and it was very rare for women of this age to go to martial arts gyms. I didn't think too much at the beginning. I just wanted to keep myself busy and fill my time so that I wouldn't have time to daydream. Lin Fan threw a straight punch. Later, I felt that Sanda was more protective of myself, and it was more useful than simply running and lifting weights. Focus. Song Ren stopped the two from chatting, helped Lin Fan correct her movements, and asked her to continue hitting the sandbag. The two dared not say anything else, and only the sound of bang bang could be heard in the training room. Lin Fan had learned the moves, although it had been a few years and they were not so standard, but after Song Ren corrected her several times, she quickly got the hang of it. The recent muscle training was quite effective, and Lin Fan's strength was gradually increasing. In order to prevent the sandbag from swaying left and right after being hit by her, Song Ren held it with one hand from behind, so that every blow from Lin Fan could hit the real target. After 200 straight punches with both hands, Lin Fan's arms were hot and numb, and she felt that she could no longer lift them. Song Ren could see from the blows that she had no strength left, so he asked her to rest for 10 minutes. Lin Fan took off her heavy boxing gloves, shook her white hands, moved her fingers, and tried to unscrew the cap of the water bottle. Unfortunately, she failed after trying several times. Li Chunhua happened to be resting nearby, and seeing how hard she was struggling, she took the water bottle from her hand and helped her unscrew it. Here, handing the water to Lin Fan, Lee Chun-hua wiped the sweat off her face. You did a pretty good job just now. Lin Fan glanced at him. The two people's sandbags were next to each other. Lee Chun-hua's punches were well placed, and the sound of bang bang was very different from her weak punches. What's with that expression on your face? Lee Chun-hua drank water. I'm telling the truth. For the first time, you hit really well. Lin Fan's posture was standard. Although the strength was not enough, these could be changed through continuous practice later. It's not my first time either. Lin Fan was talking about her previous experience in the martial arts hall. It's been a long time. The body has memory, but after such a long time, your body's memory has long disappeared. It's equivalent to the first time. Lee Chun-hua took another sip of water. I'm optimistic about you. Lin Fan screwed the bottle cap and asked Lee Chun-hua, how long will it take to reach your level? People are like this. When they first get started, they always want to use time to determine the distance between them and the high level. Well, it's hard to say. Lee Chun-hua scratched his head. I joined the army when I was 19, and I've been training until now. It's hard to say how long it will take to train like this. Are all the people in the reserve team like you? Lin Fan asked again. She had seen many reserve team members in groups recently. That's not the case. Most people can't reach my level. Lee Chun-hua's words were full of pride. I'm one of the better ones in the reserve team. I'm ranked in the top 5. So good. Lin Fan didn't expect that the seemingly noisy Lee Chun-hua was so good. Hey, not that good. Lee Chun-hua scratched his head a little embarrassedly. Our boss is really good. My level is nothing in front of him. Boss, let us see your straight punch. He suddenly shouted to Song Ren, who was doing other exercises on the equipment. Seeing that Lin Fan was also looking at him, Song Ren did not refuse. He finished the action in his hand slowly and walked steadily to the sandbag. He didn't even wear boxing gloves and punched the sandbag directly. Lin Fan was an outsider and didn't understand the tricks. Just look at his powerful punches. His arms swung out after images, and the dense frequency of the hits. Bang 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 hit the sandbag without a break. The sound was heavy and muffled. And the sandbag that was swaying left and right in her and Lee Chun-hua's hands was only slightly shaking. How is it? Awesome, right? Lee Chun-hua hadn't seen Song Ren boxing for a long time, and her eyes were jealous. Lin Fan took a breath and realized that she forgot to breathe. Awesome. Do you know where the best part is? Lee Chun-hua looked like she wanted to teach her. Where? Lin Fan asked. Fast? It seems that it's not just fast. She couldn't say it, but she felt that Song Ren's strength was not only in his punching speed. The best thing is that the sandbag didn't move. Lee Chun-hua smiled meaningfully. Yes, why didn't the sandbag move? Lin Fan finally found the abnormality with his prompting. When she hit the sandbag, the force was obviously not great, and the sandbag would sway left and right. When punching, she always felt that she couldn't use enough strength, and she had to rely on Song Ren from behind to hit the real point. When Lee Chun-hua hit the sandbag would also shake, and he would seize the opportunity and hit it hard again when the sandbag came. And Song Ren, from the sound, was obviously stronger than Lee Chun-hua and faster. So why did the sandbag only shake slightly to the point where it could be ignored? Lin Fan looked at Lee Chun-hua, looking for advice. That's because the boss used inch force. Lee Chun-hua said proudly. Inch force. Lin Fan seemed to have heard of it in a movie. Wing Chun? The inch force is used for the short bridge hand in Wing Chun. Lee Chun-hua nodded. It is to suddenly accelerate the muscle contraction at the moment the action is completed and send out a short just urged explosive force. Don't think it sounds simple. This timing is not easy to grasp. Seeing that Lin Fan didn't understand, Lee Chun-hua continued to explain. Look at the boss hitting the sandbag. He relaxes when punching and suddenly accelerates and explodes when he is about to hit. He hits the sandbag when it is not paying attention. Hit the sandbag when it is not paying attention. This description is quite vivid. So the sandbag didn't move because it didn't react. Lin Fan followed up on his statement and asked. Don't think that the sandbag doesn't seem to move. The inside must be shattered. Lee Chun-hua shook her head and said, but the sandbag is already full of broken things, so you can't tell. Anyway, if it's something else, like a door panel or something, it will be shattered with the first punch. So powerful? Lin Fan was surprised. Yeah, inch power doesn't seem to have much power, but it's very lethal. Lee Chun-hua said, when masters fight, the one who knows inch power is more likely to have the upper hand. Because he can launch compact attacks at a very close distance. Most people can't handle it. Lin Fan thought of the clips in the movie, and felt that was the case. She looked at the complacent Lee Chun-hua, and asked a question that touched her heart. Then do you know inch power? Little Leo is so pitiful. Vote to encourage. Chapter 104 Reaching Out. Does Lee Chun-hua know how to use inch power? Of course he can't. When Lin Fan saw his expression change from beaming with joy to dejected in an instant, he knew the answer without him having to answer. Song Ren had just finished hitting. He hadn't punched like this for a long time, and he felt very happy. Originally, he didn't need to pay attention to Lee Chun-hua's suggestion. But Lin Fan looked over. In Song Ren's eyes, there was the shadow of Xingqian behind Lin Fan. He thought about all the things that happened to Xingqian during this period, which made him excited all of a sudden, and he wanted to show off in front of Lin Fan. Have you rested well? Song Ren's face was not red, and he was not out of breath. Only the fine beads of sweat on his head could show how intense the exercise he had just done. Okay. Lin Fan stood up, and his hands had recovered some strength. Lee Chun-hua also stood up, returned to his sandbag position, and continued to punch. Lee Chun-hua, punch and kick each 5,000. Song Ren faced Lin Fan, and ordered without looking back. Lee Chun-hua happily accepted the task and punched quickly. Lin Fan suspected that this was revenge for asking Song Ren to box just now, but Lee Chun-hua was happy with it, so there was nothing wrong with it. Next is the whip kick. You have learned it before, right? Song Ren ignored Lee Chun-hua and focused his attention on Lin Fan. Lin Fan nodded, and at Song Ren's signal, he used a whip kick. Song Ren easily grabbed her ankle, and Lin Fan lost her balance and fell directly to the ground. Fortunately, the ground was cushioned, so Lin Fan was not too painful when she fell, but a little dazed. She propped up her arms and tried to get up by herself, and saw a big hand stretched out in front of her. Seeing Lin Fan fall, Song Ren quickly loosened her ankle. He wanted to let her find her balance and stabilize herself. But Lin Fan was not flexible enough, and she still fell down. With the cushion, Song Ren was not afraid of her falling. It is normal to fall and fight when practicing physical training, and Lin Fan had better get used to it from now on. He stretched out his hand in front of Lin Fan, trying to pull her up. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan kept supporting herself with both hands, looking at his hands, and did not move for a long time. What is she looking at? Song Ren didn't understand, and there was nothing dirty in his hands. Then he quickly remembered that the book he borrowed from Jin Sichin mentioned that people with depression are unable to express their emotions well and have emotional disorders, so they are more resistant to contact from other people. Although he has been massaging and acupressure for her for so long, these are all physical therapy. The contact is separated by a layer of towel. Lin Fan may have regarded him as a physical therapist. Direct skin contact like today and handshake has indeed never happened before. Lin Fan's condition has been better recently, but it is only an improvement in some aspects. After all, she has too many problems, and it will take a long time to recover completely. Song Ren stretched out his hand and didn't retract it. Lin Fan also kept looking at his hand without moving. It felt like it was not a hand stretched out, but something extremely dangerous. The long silence even startled Lee Chun-hua, who was boxing. He stopped and looked at the silent scene in front of him and probably guessed what was going on. Hold it. Hold it. He shouted wildly in his heart, but he didn't dare to make a sound on his face, just staring at it. Lin Fan went through a huge and complicated mental activity, and at the moment when Song wanted to withdraw his hand, he put his hand on him. Song Ren was ready to give up, but he didn't expect that at the last moment. As expected, persistence was still useful. He gently exerted force and pulled Lin Fan up. Continue? He was not sure whether Lin Fan needed a break now. Continue. Lin Fan looked at him decisively. Lee Chun-hua turned back to hitting the sandbag with satisfaction, and every punch was full of joy. In this way, Lin Fan began her physical training. The boring punches and kicks were also a kind of tempering for her spirit. She didn't say a word and tried her best to complete the training given to her by Song Ren. Every time Lin Fan finished training, she could feel the terrifyingness of Song Ren. The tasks he customized for herself every day seemed out of reach, but every time she finished training, she could just squeeze out the last bit of her physical strength. This shows how much Song Ren knows about Lin Fan's physical potential. As the moves became more proficient, hitting the sandbag could no longer meet the requirements. Lin Fan entered the sparring stage. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua took turns to use the handles to coordinate with Lin Fan's movements, training her to dodge, block, and various reactions to attack. In this process, there will inevitably be some accidental injuries. When the hand hit Lin Fan's body, it just hurt at the time, and the skin was a little red. By the next day, the red part began to turn blue, and then purple. It was already early winter. Lin Fan wore a long-sleeved t-shirt and long pants for training. The clothes blocked everything and nothing could be seen. Lin Fan himself did not say anything until Dr. Zhao found Song Ren. "What have you been practicing recently?" Dr. Zhao asked angrily. "Resistance training." Song Ren replied. "What's wrong? Are you going to hit Lin Fan?" Dr. Zhao frowned. Song Ren thought for a while and explained. "Two people practiced against each other. Lin Fan hit us, but sometimes there were some moves to test her evasive reaction. If she couldn't dodge in time, she would be hit. The resistance training has not started yet. What's wrong?" When Dr. Zhao heard what was going on, he was not so angry anymore and just sighed. "Lin Fan has a lot of bruises on his arms and legs, I thought." Song Ren and Jin Sichen frowned after hearing this. Lee Chun-hua was very surprised. They obviously all held back. "Can we go in now?" Jin Sichen wanted to go in and take a look. When Lin Fan had a physical examination, because sometimes she needed to take off her clothes, except for Dr. Zhao and Wu Yi, everyone else was waiting outside the door. After Dr. Zhao nodded, Jin Sichen took the lead and pushed open the door of the medical room. Lin Fan was sitting on a chair and saw Jin Sichen walked in with a gloomy face. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua behind her didn't look very good either. "What happened?" Jin Sichen held Lin Fan's wrist and rolled up her sleeve. Sure enough, the whole arm was covered with bruises. Because of the different times they were caused, some bruises were still blue, some were already purple, and some had yellow edges. Jin Sichen couldn't help but let go of the hand that was rolling up her sleeves, turned around and asked Song Ren behind him, "Is this what you mean by sometimes?" After seeing this, Song Ren frowned even more tightly. The bruises on Lin Fan's hands exceeded his imagination. He thought they were just a few small pieces, but somehow, her bruises were very large, with all kinds of purple and blue all over, and there was almost no good skin to be seen. At first glance, I thought he had been beaten up. No wonder Dr. Zhao came out to ask. Lee Chun-hua's eyes widened. Did they do it? No way. Jin Sichen put down the arm in his hand and gently rolled up the other sleeve. There was also an arm covered with bruises. The leg is almost the same. Wu Yi added. She was also shocked when she first saw it. Lin Fan was not going to training, but was being beaten. Jin Sichen's anger soared, and he said to Song Ren stiffly, "Captain Song, please give me a reasonable explanation." Poor Lin Fan, covered in bruises. But this is what happens when you practice these things. Oh, votes to comfort you. Chapter 105 Battle Suit. What explanation could Song Ren give? He had never thought it would be like this. Lee Chun-hua felt guilty because he was the sparring partner most of the time. Could it be that he was too strong? Lin Fan didn't say that. Lee Chun-hua's eyes rolled around, wondering whether he should come out and admit his mistake. "I can explain this." Dr. Zhao came to Song Ren's rescue. Jin Sichen turned his head to look over, and Lee Chun-hua was relieved. Bruise caused by bumps is a normal physiological phenomenon. It is usually caused by the rupture and bleeding of subcutaneous capillaries after the local skin is hit. After a period of time, the blood cells will automatically settle and will soon return to normal. Dr. Zhao explained to Jin Sichen in detail. Is it normal for her to have such a large area of bruises? Jin Sichen asked with a frown. If we exclude strong blows. Dr. Zhao was interrupted as soon as he said one sentence. No strong force, no strong force. I was gentle. Lin Fan didn't even cry out in pain. If you don't believe me, ask her. Lee Chun-hua clarified nervously. Seeing Lin Fan like that, the doubts and guilt in his heart were entangled together, and he felt very uncomfortable. Lin Fan nodded under everyone's gaze. It doesn't hurt much. In fact, how could it not hurt? Besides, Lin Fan was more afraid of pain than ordinary people, but she knew that, if she wanted to practice well, she couldn't be afraid of pain, so she just endured it, and didn't say anything. She thought she could hide it by not saying anything, but she didn't expect that there would be new blows every day, so that her bruises could not be completely healed at all, and they were printed on her arms layer by layer, which looked very scary. Such severe bruises, in addition to excluding external causes, we must also exclude the possibility of thrombocytopenia or vitamin deficiency. Dr. Zio continued. What is thrombocytopenia? Jin Sichin thought this sounded the most serious. There are many reasons for thrombocytopenia, which can generally be divided into immune and non-immune, all of which are caused by thrombocytopenia in the bone marrow. Common ones include allergic purpura, aplastic anemia, and certain blood system malignant diseases, such as leukemia, etc. If everyone didn't care so much when hearing purpura and anemia, the appearance of leukemia shocked everyone. Don't worry, the possibility of leukemia is almost zero. Dr. Zio quickly comforted. Lin Fan has a weekly physical examination, and the physical values are under our control. The incidence of allergic purpura is higher in adult women, but combined with Lin Fan's symptoms, it doesn't seem to match. Dr. Zio said again. Aplastic anemia can basically be ruled out, but for the sake of caution, we still took blood for testing. Because frequent blood draws are not good for Lin Fan's physical condition, there will be no special blood tests in the weekly routine physical examination. Could it be that Lin Fan's blood vessel walls are relatively thin, so they are easy to break? Wu Yi asked. You are talking about abnormal blood vessel wall function. Normal capillaries are fragile and permeable, but only when the blood vessel wall function is abnormal, they will be particularly fragile. Slight external stimulation will cause subcutaneous bleeding and form bruises. This situation is usually caused by the deposition of lipid substances in the blood on the inner wall of the artery. It is a chronic development process and is common in people with high blood pressure, diabetes, and high blood lipids. Lin Fan does not meet the requirements. Dr. Zio shook his head in denial. Then there is only vitamin deficiency. Song Ren said. If we use the process of elimination, that is indeed the only one left. Dr. Zio nodded, but not entirely. After all, Wu Yi has been preparing nutritious meals for Lin Fan, and normal vitamin deficiency is impossible. Wu Yi nodded vigorously. She is an expert in this area. The blood sample just sent will also be tested for vitamin content. We should still take the data as the standard. Apart from these, are there any other possibilities? Jin Sichin asked. These are the general pathological aspects. However, women have special physiological periods, which will cause a certain degree of anemia, and this will also cause thrombocytopenia, or fatigue. Cold can also lead to blood circulation disorders, and bruises will appear. Dr. Zio added. At this time, Kuang Li walked in. How is it? Li Chunhua was the most anxious. The test results are normal, but the vitamin K is low. Kuang Li handed the result sheet to Dr. Zio. What is vitamin K responsible for? Li Chunhua asked. It promotes blood coagulation. If the blood coagulation function is not good, bruises are more likely to appear. Dr. Zio replied, but I think this indicator is okay. Such a large area of bruises should be caused by excessive strength and fatigue. But if you want to train your body, these falls are unavoidable. Song Ren frowned. Lin Fan's current strength is not that great. If he adjusts. Actually, there is another way. Kuang Li said. Everyone looked over to see if he had any good ideas. Driving suit. Kuang Li sparingly said 3 words. Yes, the driving suit has good pressure resistance and is very comfortable to move. Li Chunhua clapped his hands. Song Ren also thought of it. When they were training, they were equipped with driving suits. It is specially used for driving mechas. Because the body has to operate the mecha in cold and hard steel, in order to prevent bumps and protect the driver, they have to wear professional mecha driving suits before they can enter the operation. I don't know what material the driving suit is made of, but it is resistant to high temperature, high pressure and impact, and has strong shock absorption function and good flexibility. There is also a helmet to match. The price of a whole set is staggering. Only after they enter the project team and become confirmed drivers will the driving suits be tailored for them. Moreover, different mechas usually have subtle differences in driving suits. Using a driving suit to reduce the impact on Lin Fan is indeed a feasible way. However, this also has a disadvantage. People always learn faster in pain. Once the pain is not so severe, the reaction will slow down, and the learning speed will naturally not be as fast as before. Then apply for a driving suit. Jin Sichin looked at Song Ren. I'll ask Ke Wenbin, maybe it needs to be modified according to Lin Fan's condition. Song Ren pondered for a while, and decided to take it. Can Ke Wenbin still manage this aspect? Lee Chun-hua was puzzled. Ke Wenbin really can. After he knew that he had to make a driving suit for Lin Fan, he was very happy. He took out a lot of materials to share with everyone. How could other people understand those things? Only Zhang Zhaoji came over and said that he wanted to design a beautiful combat suit for Lin Fan. Yes, they changed their names. Because every time Lin Fan transforms, his clothes will be pierced by the mecha, leaving several holes, resulting in a high rate of damage to the clothes. It is just the right opportunity to make Lin Fan's combat suit, which can not only be worn during normal training, but also when he transforms, so he is no longer afraid that his clothes will be torn at any time. Everyone thinks this is a good idea, and Zhang Zhaoji and Ke Wenbin quickly got busy. In a few days, the clothes were placed in front of Lin Fan. It is a white jumpsuit, and the overall color matching is based on the stars. There are also red blocks on the shoulders, chest, arms and other positions. It is a smaller version of the stars. Lin Fan zipped up his chest and sighed that he was lucky to lose weight. Otherwise, a fat man wearing a jumpsuit, that scene is really too beautiful to imagine. Because Lin Fan does not need to resist the external force from the mecha, Ke Wenbin specially adjusted the material to make the clothes lighter. Compared with this, the driving suit looks bulky. In addition to conventional functions such as waterproof, heat resistant, and radiation proof, the best thing about this suit is that it can release force. No matter what kind of blow, after it touches the clothes, it will slide to the side and will not really hit the person's body. The matching helmet is not a round hard helmet like the driving suit, but a soft hat like a head cover. It is not mainly to protect Lin Fan's head, but to install cameras, headphones and other equipment to facilitate the perspective of the 623 people to observe the stars. When Lin Fan ran to the training room wearing this outfit, the reserve team members saw her clothes and widened their eyes in disbelief. Is that a driving suit? Everyone recognized the new clothes on Lin Fan. Although it is not quite the same as the driving suit, it is obviously a driving suit. This discovery made everyone who was running suddenly explode. And Lin Fan, after Lee Chun-hua's blows, slid off her clothes several times. She didn't feel anything and stopped directly. In the puzzled eyes of Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua, she walked aside and took off the one-piece combat suit. Wearing a thin t-shirt and trousers, she put on boxing gloves and walked back to Lee Chun-hua, saying lightly, "Come on. Lin Fan has new clothes. Fortunately, I have lost weight. Ha ha ha. Give me money to buy clothes." Chapter 106 Unit 1. Lin Fan felt that the protection of the combat suit was a limitation. Lee Chun-hua glanced at Song Ren, and when she saw him nod, she attacked without hesitation. Of course, she used less force. Lin Fan slowly adapted in the confrontations. Lee Chun-hua gradually began to be unable to hit her as she restrained herself. The bruises on her body gradually decreased, and Lin Fan had the illusion that she was getting stronger. However, every time she had such thoughts, Song Ren would adjust the intensity and press Lin Fan to death. Dr. Zhao saw that Lin Fan's knees and elbows had large areas of bruises again, and asked curiously, "There have been no bruises for a long time. Why are there bruises now?" "I've been practicing new moves recently," Lin Fan replied. "I don't know if it's because she's been fighting too much, but she's also used to the pain of bruises." "What new moves? I remember that your dodge is already very good." Dr. Zhao later secretly went to the training room to see the training situation. At that time, Lin Fan was already able to dodge the opponent's attacks very well. Well, I've been practicing knee strikes and elbow strikes recently. Lin Fan smiled bitterly. No wonder. Dr. Zio understood. Knee strikes and elbow strikes are to use the knees and elbows as the attacking parts and strike directly. Because the force is applied to the joints, the striking effect is usually much heavier than fists and feet. However, because of the strong killing effect, it is forbidden to use them directly in normal fights. Besides these two places, are there any other bruises? Dr. Zio asked proactively. When they examined Lin Fan, they couldn't just lift his clothes casually. Lin Fan hesitated for a moment and lifted the hem of his clothes. Dr. Zio put down the pen and looked at the purple skin on the upper abdomen, not knowing what to say. What is this training? Wu Yi frowned. Strike resistance training. Lin Fan knew it would be like this and didn't intend to say it at first. However, it's best not to lie in front of a doctor. What is strike resistance training? Wu Yi didn't understand. It's a deliberate strike on vulnerable parts to strengthen their tolerance. Dr. Zio explained briefly. Does it mean being hit? Wu Yi opened his eyes wide and asked Lin Fan for confirmation. It's about the same, but the strength is controlled. Lin Fan said, I trained my limbs a while ago, and I've been training my waist and abdomen these days. Hit the stomach. Wu Yi knew that the bruises almost didn't hurt after they turned purple. But Lin Fan's waist and abdomen were all bruised, so you can imagine how big the area she was hit on was. Well, I lay on the ground, doing sit-ups, and Song Ren sat on my waist and hit me in the stomach. Lin Fan almost burst into tears when she thought of the first punch. If Song Ren hadn't sat on her, she would have curled up into a ball. Song Ren had already retracted his strength, and it can only be said that the waist and abdomen are too fragile. Based on Lin Fan's reaction, Song Ren reduced the strength a little and adjusted it to a level where Lin Fan felt painful but could still bear it. He hit her without hesitation. Lin Fan could clearly feel that after the fist touched her skin, her abdominal muscles tightened themselves to resist the force of the fist. Only then did she realize what the real purpose of anti-strike training was. When she used her abdominal muscles to resist Song Ren's fist, Song Ren increased his strength. In short, the result was that the next day, her whole stomach was sore and blue. Fortunately, she had 2 days off and didn't have to continue. No, the doctor found out during the physical examination on Monday. Wu Yi didn't understand the training. She just thought that as a girl, it was okay to practice fighting skills, all for Xingqian. Is it really necessary to resist blows? Lin Fan accepted it well. She is now in a painful and happy process. Moreover, the improvement of her physical fitness and the strength of her martial arts have gradually increased her self-confidence, and she is not so inferior. Are you very powerful now? Wu Yi asked. Not bad. Lin Fan thought about Song Ren's words. It is said that he can easily beat 3 of you. Wu Yi was dumbfounded, and Lin Fan laughed. You didn't do the head resistance, right? Dr. Zio checked the items of resistance and found that the head was listed. No, Song Ren knew that there was something in my head and didn't dare to use force here. It would be a pity if I accidentally beat him into a fool. Lin Fan also complained recently. In the past, I only thought about it in my heart, but now I can say it naturally. That's good. Dr. Zio was relieved. Song Ren was still reliable. By the way, don't tell anyone about my bruises. Especially Jin Sichin. Lin Fan reminded the two. Every time Jin Sichin saw this, his face was gloomy and scary. But it was all normal training, and he couldn't interfere, so he kept a gloomy face, which was scary. Dr. Jin still cares about you. Wu Yi was worried. Girls of this age are most likely to fantasize. Lin Fan didn't explain much, and let them finish the remaining examinations, before strolling back to her activity room. Usually Lin Fan would be in the activity room for half a day, and in the training room for the other half. Her current physical strength can only support her half a day of extreme training. She didn't lie on the sofa for long when good news came from the laboratory. The first wearable measure is completed. This is great. Li Chunhe ran away when she heard the news. Song Ren's eyes were eager to try. Lin Fan would not abuse him. He brought him to the laboratory, but only saw Li Chunhe. Where are the people? Why is everything gone? Li Chunhe stood inside and wailed. There was nothing in the empty laboratory, no Mecha model, even the star 3D image was gone. The three were confused when Yu Guangli ran over from outside. The laboratory has been moved a long time ago. Come, I'll take you there. It's okay to make models in the laboratory, but it's not so easy to modify the mecha inside. The scientific trio alone is obviously not enough. Zibishan had already selected a lot of new people to join the 623 project team and built an experimental base for them in the underground fortress. After the model was established, they brought all the materials to the underground fortress. Of course, the star projection and 818 were also brought along. Lin Fan and the other two Anjin Sichin were in one car, and the medical trio and Yu Guangli were in another car. The group arrived at the underground fortress again. This time, they didn't register when they got out of the elevator like last time. Yu Guangli took them to the gate, marked with the word 623 and stopped. After entering, they finally saw the familiar star 3D projection, and next to it stood a brand new mecha in a blue-gray color. The appearance is very similar to Xingqian. The new 623 laboratory has a huge space, complete equipment, abundant materials, and a large number of staff. Everyone who has signed a confidentiality agreement knows what they should know. But when they see Lin Fan for the first time, they still can't help but secretly look at him. If they accidentally make eye contact with Lin Fan, they will quickly retract their gaze and run away in a hurry. Lin Fan is confused. When was the model shipped here? Li Chunhua couldn't figure it out. When Lin Fan transformed in the laboratory last week, the model was still inside. They would not easily enter the laboratory for fear of disturbing others' work. Unexpectedly, it was shipped here so quietly. Just these few days. Yu Guangli smiled. More manpower ensures greater efficiency. Now even if you use materials to rebuild a mecha, it is much easier than before. How did you bring it here? Lin Fan was a little curious about this. The model is nearly 3 meters high, and the doors of the underground fortress are very high, so it is normal for it to pass through. The door of the laboratory in the office building is an ordinary door, more than 2 meters high, and it is impossible for such a large mecha to pass through. Dismantle everything and reassemble it after transporting it here. Yu Guangli said, we did it when you were not around, so you didn't see it. Lin Fan suddenly realized. Indeed, if it can be assembled, it can be dismantled. Looking at the dozens of busy figures around, disassembly and assembly must not be as troublesome as before. The scientific trio is very satisfied with the current venue. With the solidity of the underground fortress, they no longer have to worry about any unexpected situations during the testing of the mecha, such as piercing the floor or the like. Everyone smiled at each other and walked forward together to see the new mecha. The new mecha is completed, and Xingqian will also have a friend. Ha ha ha. Don't forget to vote. Chapter 107 Testing Machine. Lin Fan, come and see. Zhang Zhaoji danced with excitement. Seeing Lin Fan coming, he hurriedly greeted him. Because the appearance was based on Xingqian, it was naturally beautiful. Song Ren rarely took his eyes away from Lin Fan and stared at the blue-gray mecha. It was taller than Xingqian, about 2.7 meters, and much wider. Xingqian really looked like a slender girl next to it. How is it? I made a mecha for you. I hope you are satisfied. Ke Wenbin put his arms around his chest and approached Song Ren. Song Ren smiled and glanced at Ke Wenbin, not knowing what to say, and turned his head to look at his new mecha, his joy overflowing with words. How to move? How to move? Li Chunhua was more excited than Zhang Zhaoji. Zhajing was in front of the control console and issued an order through the microphone. Unit 1 is started. The blue-gray mecha's eyes instantly lit up green, and a buzzing mechanical sound came from the inside. Unit 1 has started. The other people in 623 had never seen such a startup process, which was completely different from Xingqian. Captain Song, do you want to go up and try it? Yu Guangli smiled. Is it okay? Song Ren looked at Lin Fan and asked Yu Guangli. Of course. Yu Guangli was very happy. After so many years of research on humanoid mechas, this is the closest to success. In this case, Song Ren did not shirk responsibility and directly responded, okay, then I'll try it. The staff next to him handed over a special driving suit. Compared with Lin Fan's thin combat suit, Song Ren's driving suit looked thicker. Protruding protection was added to all major joints. There were also some metal points of unknown use. Gloves and short boots can also be seen to be filled with a lot of protective materials. Since Cui Yan decided to prepare the mecha team and the internal structure of the mecha was determined, his and Li Chunhua's driving suits were ready, waiting for the day when the mecha is completed at any time. After taking the helmet from Li Chunhua and putting it on, Song Ren looked at Yu Guangli. "I'm ready." Everyone stepped aside, and the 623 veterans also stood obediently against the corner to prevent accidents. Only Song Ren stood at the foot of the number 1 machine. Yu Guangli gave Zhajing a look. "Let's get started." Zhajing pressed the start button. Xinglan starts. A response came from machine 1. Xinglan intelligence system has been successfully started. Is the new system called Xinglan? Li Chunhua still remembered that at the last meeting, Zhajing nominated Xingchen as Xinglan. At that time, everyone thought it was pretty good, but Lin Fan later proposed the name Xingchen, and everyone thought it was better, so Xinglan was rejected. Unexpectedly, he used it on the system. Is the name the focus? The focus is on voice control. Okay. Wu Yi exclaimed. The 800 intelligence system is completely different from the artificial intelligence speakers on the market that can ask and answer questions. It is a truly intelligent system that can calculate and operate by itself. However, such intelligent systems are usually not used for the control of precision instruments because of their complex algorithms and long response time for voice control. Most of them have abandoned voice control and choose button control. Including Panbu, it is also controlled by backstage buttons. The Xinglan intelligence system developed by Zhajing can actually be controlled by voice, and the feedback is timely. It looks very good. He is also testing the system. Kuangli looked at Zhajing, who was sitting in front of the control console. His baby face was serious. This was not only the first test of Unit 1, but also the first formal test of the Xinglan system. Open the driver's channel. Zhajing ordered in a deep voice. The driver's channel is open. Xinglan responded immediately. In an instant, the shells of the mechas behind Unit 1 were simultaneously open to both sides. A space as big as a person was revealed inside. Enter from the back. That's rare. Li Chunhua frowned slightly, a little worried. How do you usually enter? Jin Sichin asked. He had never seen these mechas, but he only knew that Pangu entered from the back of the head. Most mechas enter from the front. Kuangli replied, usually, the upper body is opened. The driver enters, puts in the hands, feet and head, and then closes the opened part. I haven't seen a mecha that enters from the back. I don't know why it is set up like this. Li Chunhua said distressedly. Captain Song, you can go in. Zhajing gave an order to Song Ren. From the back of Unit 1, the space inside that is big enough to accommodate a person is covered with soft materials, and no wiring or internal structure can be seen. Because the overall height is increased, the footrest is 30 centimeters off the ground. Song Ren held the unfolded back shell of the mecha with one hand, stepped on it with one foot, and stood on it. He pressed his body forward and inserted it into the space reserved for Unit 1, and his hands and feet were also stuck in the corresponding positions. Because the machine was in the startup state, Song Ren could see the field of view of Unit 1 as soon as he stood on it, similar to the perspective of Xingchen on the big screen, much higher than usual. The driver is in place. Xinglan detected that Song Ren had stood up and automatically issued a report. Close the driver's channel. Zhajing issued an order. The driver's channel is closing. Please do not move at will. Xinglan quickly executed the order. 3, 2, 1. The open shell of Unit 1 closed at the same time in an instant. The speed was so fast that Li Chunhua did not react for a while. So the new way of entry is to be able to quickly turn on and off the equipment? This idea emerged in Kuangli's mind. The screen in front of Song Ren showed a reduced structural diagram of Unit 1, indicating that all parts had been closed. Captain Song, do you feel any discomfort? Zhajing asked. No. Song Ren felt fine. Perhaps because he could see it in front of him. He did not have the bad experience of being locked in a small space. Okay, the channel opened and closed smoothly. Proceed to the next test. Zhajing said, if you feel any discomfort, please don't be patient and give me feedback in time. Understood. Song Ren answered decisively. Xinglan, the driver's self-adaptation is turned on. Seeing that Song Ren was ready, Zhajing began to give the next instruction. The driver's self-adaptation is turned on. As soon as Zinglin finished speaking, Song Ren felt his body tightened, as if he was wrapped by something, and there was some urgent pressure. The green outline of the mecha appeared in front of him again, and there were several small green dots in the middle of the small mecha. The driver's self-adaptation is completed, and the data terminal is in good contact. Zinglin reported again. Captain Song, driver adaptation is the process of the soft shell inside the mecha adapting to and collecting the driver's body data. This layer of soft shell will wrap and tighten the driver's body, and at the same time, connect the internal contacts to the terminal of the driving suit. The terminal will transmit some data to us, including but not limited to heart rate, blood pressure, etc. After adaptation, the system can better capture your movements, and at the same time, it will provide an extra layer of protection for the driver. Zhajing explained in detail. Yu Guangli asked, will this pressure be too great? Song Ren felt it for a while, and felt a sense of urgency, but it should not affect the activity. It's okay. Then, next we will connect your driving helmet, and control it yourself. Zhajing continued, are you ready? Song Ren cheered up and replied, ready. Zinglin, connect the driver's helmet. Zhajing ordered. Connect the driver's helmet. Connect successfully. Zinglin's electronic voice continued to sound. On the big screen, everyone saw that there was a lot of data on both sides of Song Ren's field of vision. Zinglin, the driver takes over the control. Zhajing issued the last command. Driver controllers turned on. Crossing Lanra acted very quickly. Song Ren felt his body suddenly become heavy, and the data scrolling in front of him stopped instantly. Captain Song, you can try to move now. Zhajing reminded. Now the number 1 machine is completely controlled by Song Ren. Everyone is waiting for his next move. Captain Song finally got on the machine. He was so happy. The dream machine. Tickets come. Chapter 108 Adjustment. Song Ren moved his fingers first. It was harder than he thought. He felt some resistance and needed to push it open with a little force. How is it? Yu Guangli asked. It's a bit strenuous. Song Ren replied. Is it a flexibility problem? Li Chunhe was anxious. Song Ren's physique was better than his. If Song Ren felt strenuous, then he would be even less so. Song Ren adapted for a while and finally became more flexible when stretching. It seems that it is not a mechanical problem, but the impact of the mecha's own weight on the driver. Yu Guangli pondered. Although there are many power sensor devices designed inside, the weight of the mecha itself is also a burden on the driver. The weight of Unit 1 is nearly half a ton. No matter how it is adjusted, the driver will bear a certain amount of gravity during operation. There is no way to solve this problem. Wenbin, can the materials be adjusted further? Yu Guangli asked. No matter how the internal structure is streamlined, it can't be adjusted much. It is better to start with the materials. I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it can be implemented. I have to try again. Wenbin replied. Okay. Yu Guangli didn't say much. Breakthroughs don't happen overnight. They usually take time and can't be rushed. Captain Song, try other activities. Song Ren moved his head again and felt that his head was still relatively flexible. Then he moved his legs and feet, which felt heavier than his hands. He took a few steps and stretched his limbs and felt that his physical strength was rapidly consumed. Song Ren's recent exercise intensity was the same as Li Chunhe's. He couldn't help but reflect on whether he had been slacking off for too long. The 623 veterans who were watching clearly felt the difference between Unit 1 and Xingqian. The most obvious difference was that every time Unit 1 moved, the joints would emit the inherent mechanical running sound. The flexibility was also obviously not enough. The first time on the machine, the main thing was to adapt. Song Ren tried basic movements such as walking and squatting. After the activity started, he directly issued a command to Zinglin to get off the machine. It was really convenient that the Zinglin intelligence system could be used on humanoid mechas. After all, the driver couldn't use buttons or joysticks to control it inside such a mecha. Voice control was the most suitable method. When Song Ren got off the number 1 machine, he felt as if he had become lighter, and his feet seemed to be floating on the ground. He took off his helmet, and his face was covered with sweat. Although there was a temperature control system inside the number 1 machine, the resistance during the operation still made him feel a little strenuous. Lee Chun-ho had been standing by and was eager to try. Only those who have been on the machine can be considered a real pilot. Seeing his excited face, Song-ren didn't say much and went to rest next to Lin Fan. After watching Song-ren's experience, Lee Chun-ho quickly entered the adaptive state. He felt as if he was trapped in a quagmire, and the resistance around him was so heavy that he could hardly move. He was so happy that he forgot about it. Lee Chun-ho tried to mobilize his body and did some basic movements. After getting off the machine, he was sweating profusely, as if he was about to collapse. This scene reminded everyone of what Lin Fan looked like after his transformation a long time ago. However, recently, after exercising, Lin Fan no longer showed obvious weakness. Lin Fan accepted everyone's attention indifferently, looking at the embarrassed little Lizzie, expressing sympathy. After this, Song-ren and Lee Chun-ho both had a serious sense of crisis. The Mecha was built, how could it not be pulled? The two began to train frantically, and even Lin Fan beside them was a little overwhelmed, but he gritted his teeth and persisted. Strengthening training is still effective. A week later, Song-ren got on the machine again, and felt that it was much more flexible to control this time. Have you adjusted it? Song-ren asked. Yes, we made a big adjustment, Yu Guangli said. We made new adjustments to the sensor structure. Some devices have been reduced. So your sense of blockage has been reduced. We have also made adjustments to the materials, Ke Wenbin said with a smile. With help, his experiment went very smoothly. We successfully melted the sample of 818. I didn't expect that it was so small and the ductility was so good. After testing, the sample was liquefied and coated on the surface of the shell. The various data obtained were much higher than the original shell. Ke Wenbin was very excited. We tried to make the original shell thinner and coated it with 818 molten metal. We found that it was still better than the original material. So the shell is lighter than last week, and the whole mecha has lost nearly 100 pounds. 818 is really a good thing. A small piece can cover the entire mecha shell, and a thin layer can have such a large data bonus. If it weren't for the Xingchen upgrade, he really wanted to take out that big piece and melt it. The weight of Unit 1 has been reduced, the structure has been modified, and Song-ren's recent exercise has also had a certain effect. This time, he was more flexible in controlling Unit 1. Not only can he walk freely, but he can also run and jump. However, because of the heavy weight, everyone felt the floor shaking when he ran. Because of the increased activity, Song-ren was sweating when he came down. Controlling the mecha is much more tiring than he thought. Not to mention Lee Chun-ho, although he didn't collapse like last time. But the whole person was exhausted. Such a result made everyone worried. In this state, it is hard to imagine what more complex movements will do. The mecha is a weapon, and this is not the result they want. Researchers led by Yu Guangli began to study how to improve the details and make it easier to control. Lin Fan was also very interested in Unit 1. Under the hesitant eyes of everyone, she climbed up and tried it. When the driver was adapting, she was strangled and almost couldn't breathe. Zhajing quickly ordered crossing land to cancel the adaptation. When the channel was opened, Lin Fan seemed to have returned to the state of weak hands and feet and fell straight back. Fortunately, Song-ren caught her from behind. She thought that after the recent exercise, her physical condition was already good. But the facts are in front of her. She is definitely not qualified to drive a mecha. Fortunately, Xingchen's standby time has steadily increased to 7 minutes. Compared with Song-ren and Lee Chun-ho, who are exhausted every time they control Unit 1. Lin Fan, who can stroll easily after the transformation, even feels a strange sense of superiority. After Zibishan's coordination, all the power engineering experts of 800 participated in the debugging and improvement of Unit 1. Ke Wenbin was also improving the material, constantly testing how thin the shell could be after being covered with the sample melt. After half a month of improvement, Song-ren was finally able to flexibly control Unit 1 to move around and quickly perform various command actions. Although he would feel tired after getting off the machine, the degree was the same as the fatigue after intensive training, and it was not as unacceptable as at the beginning. Lee Chun-ho was also much better. His physical fitness was worse than Song Ren, so his flexibility was a little worse, and it was relatively more difficult. At this time, Song Ren and Lee Chun-ho simultaneously experienced the feeling of weakness that Lin Fan had felt after the transformation. It was really not easy, they thought to themselves. After Song Ren had been on the machine for several consecutive days and was able to skillfully control Unit 1, Zibishan proposed a new training method for him. Practicing with Xingchen. Captain Song's hard days are coming. When he abused Lin Fan, he probably didn't expect that he would have such a day. Come on, vote for Captain Song's misery. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Confrontation. Wan and Xingchen will practice against each other. Lin Fan is fine. She has to transform today anyway, and with more than 7 minutes of standby time, they can arrange any test. Song Ren hesitated for a moment and agreed. He always knew that Xingchen was very strong, but he had no intuitive idea of how strong he was. Practice was the fastest way to understand the other party's strength. After knowing this, the people of 623 showed great interest and quickly gathered around. Come on. Song Ren started Unit 1 and invited Lin Fan after going up. Lin Fan touched his ear with his left hand and Xingchen appeared instantly. As the two confronted each other, the atmosphere finally became a little tense. Everyone around, disperse. Yu Guangli ordered. It's hard to say what these two can do, but don't hurt anyone. Without him saying more, the onlookers felt that the atmosphere was wrong and had already dispersed. Captain Song, you attack first. Yu Guangli saw that the two were standing there motionless, wasting Xingchen's 10 seconds in vain, and ordered directly. Song Ren received the order and rushed up in a few steps without thinking anymore. He didn't know what the consequences of a punch would be. When he was about to reach the front, he decided not to use his fist. He turned his body sideways and used his shoulder to push Xingchen. Everyone standing on the sidelines could feel the ground shaking from Unit 1's kick. Seeing his entire mecha crashing into the smaller Xingchen, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone knew what kind of physique Lin Fan had, and Xingchen would probably fall. In the end, Unit 1 didn't succeed in hitting it at all, and Xingchen held it back with one hand. The fierce attack was easily resolved. Silence spread in the venue. Lin Fan saw Unit 1 rushing over, and subconsciously stretched out his hand to hold it back. He was originally prepared to be hit, but after stretching out his hand, he didn't feel any force at all, and he held it back. Lin Fan felt a little embarrassed. She could imagine Song Ren in Unit 1, and his face must not be very good. Unit 1 was in a posture that was interrupted in the process of moving, with the upper body in front and the legs behind, and all the strength was concentrated on the shoulders, and the center of gravity was seriously unstable. If Xingchen's hand hadn't been holding him up, he would have fallen down in this position. Lin Fan kindly took 2 steps forward and straightened Unit 1. The atmosphere at the scene became even weirder. Song Ren felt his face was about to burn. He hadn't expected Xingchen to be so strong. He retreated quickly without saying a word. Come on again. He was afraid of hurting Lin Fan just now, so he didn't dare to use his full strength. Who knows? Lin Fan probably had some understanding of Xingchen's ability and took a few steps back. He retreated on one leg, crossed his hands in front of his chest, and made a blocking gesture. Come on. Unit 1 boom 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 accelerated very quickly, and the entire mecha rushed out. When it was about to get close, it lowered its center of gravity and used its shoulders and head to hit Xingchen together. This was not a light blow. Everyone at the control console couldn't help but stand up. There was a loud bang sound, followed by a teeth grinding sound of metal friction. Unit 1 hit Xingchen's crossed arms, and Xingchen didn't move at all. Wow. Everyone was in an uproar. Have you tested Xingchen's impact resistance before? Zibishan asked. Yes, we have tried all the available testing methods, but we didn't reach the upper limit. Wenbin answered. But according to Pangu's calculations, she should be able to withstand 1,800 tons of force. That was Xingqian before her evolution, and it's even harder to say now. Zibishan nodded, wondering if there was a chance to test the specific value. But no matter what, the impact force of Unit 1 is definitely not enough in front of Xingqian. Didn't you see that she didn't even shake? Song Ren found that the attack failed, and after the initial shock period, he quickly accepted it. He wanted to stand up by himself, but at this time, Zibishan issued another order. Xingqian, push Unit 1 away. Zibishan said, and then he was afraid that Lin Fan would be too strong, so he added, be gentle. Be gentle? Lin Fan didn't know how likely it was, but she understood what Zibishan meant, that he was afraid that Xingqian would be too strong and cause too much damage to Unit 1. When Song Ren was still embarrassed by Zibishan's order, he felt a force coming gently from the front. Before he could react, he flew out and fell 10 meters away. Silence, still silence. Everyone saw that Xingqian hardly moved, just gently pushed forward, and Unit 1 flew out. How strong is Xingqian? Is Song Ren okay? Zibishan asked, after seeing Unit 1 lying on the ground for a long time without moving. Nothing. Song Ren answered quickly, but he still didn't move. His heart rate was a little fast, and his blood pressure was a little high, but his overall physical signs were fine. So why didn't he move? Li Chunhu ran up anxiously, but Xingqian was faster than him. Song Ren felt a little confused when nothing happened. He hadn't fallen like this for many years. Even in the international competition where he injured his leg, he sat and waited for rescue. I didn't expect that he would fall so easily today. He knew how powerful Xingqian was, and it was not shameful to be pushed down by her. It's just that he couldn't adapt to it all of a sudden. After all, he has always been the one who knocked people down. As for Xingqian, although he knew that she was a biological mecha, when he thought of Lin Fan inside, who was out of breath from practicing in his hands every day, he suddenly felt that he was being punished. After a lot of random thoughts, his eyes went dark and a black mecha palm appeared. He looked up slightly and saw Xingqian. Lin Fan saw Song Ren lying on the ground for a long time without moving, and he didn't know what happened. He remembered that, when she fell before, Song Ren also stretched out his hand to her. After thinking for a while, he also stretched out his hand to him. After all, Unit 1 now weighs more than 300 kilograms, and it is not so easy to get up. Song Ren was a little stunned when he saw Lin Fan stretching out his hand to him. He couldn't help but think of the scene when he stretched out his hand to her a while ago. He smiled and shook his head slightly. It was indeed a matter of time. Lin Fan saw Unit 1 shaking its head, laughed at himself for being nosy, and was about to take his hand back. Unexpectedly, Unit 1's big hand suddenly came up. Lin Fan was stunned, looking at the window of Unit 1. Song Ren's eyes were facing her, as if telling her to pull faster. Lin Fan smiled. Why think so much? With a gentle pull, he lifted Unit 1 up. Xingqian's transformation time soon came. She took off the mecha and turned into Lin Fan. Song Ren also stepped out of Unit 1. The two stood side by side. It seemed that Song Ren was in better spirits than Lin Fan, but Lin Fan didn't sweat a drop, while Song Ren was sweating all over. For a moment, it was hard to tell who was in better condition. Dr. Zio and Wu Yi hurried over to check on Song Ren, and Li Chunhu also walked over to ask about his health. 623 Everyone realized that, although Lin Fan's physique could not be compared with Song Ren, compared with the flexible biological mecha, the wearable Unit 1 was obviously not a little bit worse. Xingqian was simply a crushing existence in front of Unit 1. Interestingly, in reality, Song Ren was the one who was crushed. Lin Fan, Song Ren called out to the person who was staring at Unit 1 in a daze, I will become stronger. Lin Fan didn't understand what he wanted to say for a moment. No matter how strong Song Ren is, Unit 1 can never be stronger than Xingqian. It was already very obvious today. Song Ren smiled wantonly, showing his big white teeth, and commanding Lin Fan, so you have to become stronger. Lin Fan looked at the seriousness in Song Ren's eyes, thought about it, and gave him a big grin. Okay. Get stronger. Get stronger. Do business. Ha ha ha. Lin Fan abused Song Ren, happy or not. Captain Song also has this day. Vote for me. Chapter 110 Fuguang. Soon, Unit 1 had its own name, Fuguang. When it comes to naming, the researchers of 623 are really not good at it. This time, except for the scientific trio, none of the elders of 623 participated. Hundreds of members expressed their opinions, and all kinds of messy names appeared. In the end, Song Ren's Fuguang won. Fuguang, the light of Fusang, refers to sunlight, and also to the sun. Once this name came out, other good names were eclipsed. Moreover, the bond between the Mecha and the driver is much deeper than that of ordinary people, and the practice of letting the driver name it has always existed. Lee Chun-ho looked at Fuguang with envy. When can he have his own Mecha? Because the wearable Mecha is still being debugged and improved, it has not been completely finalized. So for the time being, there is only one Mecha, Fuguang, for the two to share. After all the properties of Fuguang are confirmed, the manufacture of other new mechas will begin. Lee Chun-ho estimated that it would be soon. After all, it took only a little over a month for Fuguang to go from nothing to something. According to the current progress, he should quickly look up the dictionary and give his Mecha a resounding name. After the first confrontation, Lin Fan and Song Ren seemed to have some kind of tacit understanding. Lee Chun-ho forced herself to train desperately when she thought of the scene where Fuguang was easily knocked down by Xingchen. Song Ren said nothing. While strengthening himself, he became even more ruthless to Lin Fan. Lin Fan herself didn't have that much motivation, but seeing the two people around her training like crazy, it was hard for her not to be affected, and was also driven to work hard. Although Xingchen had a plug-in-like strength, she also had a weakness, which was Lin Fan herself. After Lin Fan tried several times, when she converged Xingchen's strength to the same level as Fuguang, she was completely unable to beat Fuguang. After all, her reaction and flexibility were just trained, and they couldn't compare with Song and Lee. Not to mention Song Ren, even Lee Chun-ho could easily control her. Song and Lee just needed to adapt to Fuguang's control. Once they were familiar with it, they could perform various actions. But Lin Fan couldn't do that. Putting aside the abilities that Xingchen brought with her, she couldn't even beat Fuguang. But this result was not what Song Ren wanted. Zibishan asked them to practice with Xingchen, hoping that Xingchen would help Fuguang improve his operational flexibility, not to repeat the scene in the training room. So he asked Xingchen to use more strength, stronger than Fuguang. In this way, in the confrontation, Xingchen can deal with them with lower flexibility, so that they can get effective training. Fuguang's current modifications are mainly in the internal structure and shell thickness. The constant debugging is to make the driver's operation more labor-saving and convenient. Zhijing has been modifying the Xinglan intelligence system with the adjusted power structure, and Ke Wenbin is still thinning Fuguang's shell bit by bit. He found that the strength and hardness of a thin layer of 818 coating far exceeded their expectations. In this way, the thickness of the Mecha shell can be greatly reduced. The weight of the Mecha will also be reduced. They kept trying to reduce the thickness of the small shell, trying to find the most suitable size. The coverage area of Fuguang's shell is basically fixed. Ke Wenbin and others found that the molten liquid obtained by melting the remaining small sample materials can also cover the shells of 3 mechas of the same size. In other words, in addition to Song Ren and Lee Chun-ho, 2 more pilots can be produced. This is consistent with Cui Yan's original idea of building a Mecha team. After Cui Yan learned the news, he opened his candidate information and screened for suitable talents. He never dragged his feet in doing things. The next afternoon, Song Ren met the newcomer who came to report. Because Lin Fan was sweating all over during the training, her clothes were soaked. Fearing that she would catch a cold, Lee Chun-ho accompanied her back first, leaving Song Ren alone to clean up the training room. Bang, bang, bang. There was a knock on the door. Song Ren looked up and saw 2 heads outside through the transparent observation window on the door. He narrowed his eyes and made a guess about the identity of the visitor. Cui Yan informed him yesterday about the addition of newcomers, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. When the door was opened, cold air rushed into the room. Captain Song, Reserve Team member Gao Fei reports to you. The short-haired young man saluted Song Ren with a straight posture, and his hearty smile was impressive. Song Ren saw that he was wearing an aviation base uniform, holding documents in his left hand and carrying a luggage bag behind him, and he was sure that he should be a newcomer. Then he looked at another person wearing the same clothes. Captain Song, reserve team member GU reports to you. The young man next to him felt his gaze and saluted as well. Come in. Song Ren made way for the two to enter the training room. The warm air in the training room made the two people who had been in the cold wind for a long time shiver. Song Ren closed the door, walked up to the two, and held out his hand. The two stood straight, looked straight ahead and respectfully handed the documents in their hands to Song Ren. Song Ren found a chair and sat down, carefully reading the information of the two. The young man on the left is Gao Fei, 26 years old. He was admitted to the aviation college and just graduated 2 years ago. He had been working as a fighter pilot at the flight base next door. He has good physical fitness, strong psychological quality, strong learning ability and quick reaction. How did the flight base agree to release such a good seedling? Song Ren looked at the last transfer date on the document, which was this morning. Cui Yan didn't know what means he used to get the person here. He looked up. He is 1.86 meters tall and seems to be quite strong, about the same as a reserve player. We need to test him to know his specific qualities. Gao Fei's face is full of enthusiasm and he always smiles. But it is different from Jin Sichin's fake smile or John Woo's sophisticated smile. If you have to say it, it is innocence, which reminds people of students holding basketballs, wantonly swaying their youth and carefree on the school playground, with endless passion and drive. He is still a child. The young Song Ren sighed lightly and made such an exclamation. Gao Fei, who had been paying attention to the movement, heard it. Although his body did not move, his eyes kept rolling. Gao Fei. Song Ren shouted. Here. Gao Fei quickly cleared his mind of random thoughts and responded to the question from his superior. Song Ren's name was not only spread in the Special Operations Department. At that time, he was a representative of positive propaganda, who in the entire military department didn't know him. Your flying performance is so good, why are you willing to be transferred to the reserve team? No matter how skillful Cui Yan is, he must have the willingness of the main person. Gao Fei was stunned and decided to tell the truth. Because I have liked Mecha since I was a child. Director Cui said that only by coming here can I drive a Mecha. Song Ren raised his eyebrows. He is another Mecha fan, which is quite consistent with his student character. He lowered his head and opened another folder. The young man on the right is GU, also 26 years old. He also graduated from the aviation college. But unlike Gao Fei, he has a very high IQ. He was admitted to the university by skipping grades and graduated as a master's student. He could have continued his studies, but he refused because he yearned for the blue sky. He has been at the flight base for 2 years. The resume of a smart person is impeccable. Even in the eyes of someone as strict as Song Ren, GU is an elite among elites. He scratched his brow with his little finger and suddenly became a little curious. What price did Cui Yan pay to dig these two people? New characters are on the stage. Which one do you like? Don't forget to vote. Chapter 111 New Partner. GU may have read more books, so his face looks more gentle. His hair is longer than Gao Fei's, and he has some bangs on his forehead. Aren't there any restrictions on hairstyles for pilots? Song Ren thought about it in his mind, but he really didn't know. There are not many restrictions on hairstyles in the reserve team, but for the convenience of training, most of the team members still have long or short hair. The hair of these two people is obviously much longer. GU, what about you? Song Ren asked again. I want more challenges. GU's voice is lower than Gao Fei's, and his speed is not fast. There is a sense of stability without being anxious or impatient. Okay, since everyone is here, there must be no review problems, so he shouldn't worry too much. Song Ren nodded and asked again, have you been to the director's office? Have you completed the procedures? The two nodded together, and Gao Fei said, I just came from the director's office. The procedures for transferring to the 623 project team have been completed. I have also received the new uniform, but Director Cui asked us to report to you first, so I haven't changed it yet. It was still very abrupt to walk in 800 wearing the clothes of the flight base. When they came to the playground just now, the reserve team members stared at them, as if they were spies. Have you signed the confidentiality agreement? Song Ren asked again. Compared to other things, keeping Lin Fan's identity confidential is the most important. Signed. Ji answered, paused, and added, we are required to keep confidential all test-related contents within the 623 project team, and there is also an agreement and protection order to keep the identity of a person named Lin Fan confidential. Song Ren nodded and looked at the watch. It was already time for dinner. Lin Fan had been gone for a while. Although Lee Chun-ho was accompanying him, Song Ren was not very confident about his temper. He didn't say much and asked the two to follow him. It gets dark early in winter. When they went out, it was already completely dark outside. Not wanting to waste time, Song Ren took the two to the reserve team office on foot to borrow a small electric car and prepared to drive back to the villa area. In the car, Gao Fei asked tentatively, Captain Song, can I ask a question? Song Ren drove attentively and said without turning his head, go. That Lin Fan. Gao Fei had been confused since signing the agreement. Who is this person? Is he a very important person? After asking, he was afraid of touching on some secrets, so he quickly explained, if it's inconvenient, you don't have to say it. What kind of person can be so important as to be on par with the entire 623 project? Ji was also curious, but he habitually kept silent. Yes, he is a very important person. Song Ren replied, turning the car smoothly into the villa area. Curious? Gao Fei scratched his head embarrassedly. I'm very curious. I haven't seen a confidentiality agreement issued to a person alone. And he has to be protected. Not only confidentiality, but also protection. Lin Fan must be a key figure who is very important to research and development, right? The image of the bald old man emerged in Gao Fei's mind. Don't be curious, you will see him later. Song Ren stopped the car and led the two people to the dormitory. There was no light in his and Lee Chun-ho's room, and Jin Sichen's room was also dark. Only Lin Fan's room was lit with a dim light. Song Ren hesitated for a moment and led people directly to Lin Fan's dormitory. He knocked on the door twice, and the door was quickly opened. Boss, Lee Chun-ho said, but she held back her words when she saw the two people standing behind Song Ren. Come in. Song Ren led the two people in. Lee Chun-ho could only watch, and after the three people came in, she closed the door blankly. Jin Sichen was alert to the two strangers who suddenly appeared here, but he still showed a professional fake smile on his face. Gao Fei and Ji first saw Lee Chun-ho who opened the door. After seeing that he was wearing the uniform of the reserve team, they ruled out the possibility that he was Lin Fan. After entering the room, they saw Jin Sichen, who was sitting on a chair with white hair and fancy clothes, looking at them with a gentle smile on his face. He was wearing big sunglasses in the house late at night, which made him look very unfathomable. Could this be Lin Fan? The two people elbowed each other. This is Dr. Jin Sichen, a top international psychologist. Song Ren introduced the two parties. Jin Sichen nodded to the two of them and listened to Song Ren's introduction. These two are the Mecha pilots who have just been transferred to 623, Gao Fei and Ji. They will protect Lin Fan together in the future. Jin Sichen smiled and nodded. He knew that new pilots would be added, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. This one is not. Could it be the one at the door? Seeing that the two turned their eyes to Lee Chun-ho, Song Ren introduced in time. Lee Chun-ho, a member of the reserve team. Just like you. It's not. Gao Fei and Ji knew that they had found the wrong target. In disappointment, they couldn't help but look at the door of the room. Lee Chun-ho hadn't reacted to the addition of two new friends. When he saw the uniforms of the flight base they were wearing, he pointed and asked Song Ren, this? Well, they were dug from next door. Song Ren said perfunctorily. He hadn't heard Lin Fan's movement for so long since he came in, so he asked, where is Lin Fan? Here. Lin Fan was washing clothes in the toilet just now, and he didn't care when he heard Song Ren's voice. When she heard that there were strangers, she was a little resistant at first, and did a lot of psychological preparation before she came out. She stood at the door of the bedroom and didn't move. Seeing that she was doing okay, Jin Sichen didn't intervene and continued to sit on the chair as a spectator. This is Lin Fan. Song Ren introduced the two people and then introduced Lin Fan, Gao Fei, Ji. Chief CUI is going to form a Mecha team, and they are new members. They were pilots in the flight base next door. Hello. Lin Fan greeted the two with the same fake smile as Jin Sichin. Gao Fei and GU were a little confused when they knew that Lin Fan was such a young woman. This was completely inconsistent with their thoughts. But the body still responded politely. Lee Chun-hua, take them back and settle them down first and bring back dinner. Bring the two of them as well. Song Ren said. Okay. Lee Chun-hua responded quickly, preparing to take the two out. Lin Fan, can we add 2 people to dinner? Jin Sichin suddenly spoke. Lin Fan was still a little nervous. She saw Jin Sichin's smiling eyes full of encouragement, Song Ren's determined eyes full of encouragement, and even Lee Chun-hua cheering her up at the door, so she gritted her teeth and agreed. Yo-ho. Lee Chun-hua shouted happily, quickly opened the door, and took the 2 people who didn't know what was going on out of the blue. In the dormitory next door, the 2 single beds had been replaced with 2 bunk beds. Fortunately, the room was large enough and not cramped. It just changed from a holiday cottage to a dormitory all of a sudden. Several people were used to sleeping in bunk beds, so they didn't have any complaints about this. Your dormitory conditions are pretty good, and there are even computers. Gao Fei put down his luggage and took a look and saw the monitor in the corner. It's okay. Lee Chun-hua thought of the previous use of this monitor and couldn't help feeling a little guilty. Can it be used? Young people have long been accustomed to the online world and are naturally close to computers. Whether it's playing games or surfing the internet, it's great. Yes. Lee Chun-hua took the initiative to turn on the computer for Gao Fei to see. When no one was paying attention, I secretly glanced at the camera hidden in the ceiling that had not been turned on for a long time and sighed in my heart. Fortunately, the surveillance has stopped. If it was still under surveillance, how would Lee Chun-hua explain this matter at this time? Ha 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 ha. Give votes. Encourage. Chapter 112 GU. Lee Chun-hua asked the 2 to rest in the dormitory, and after asking about their tastes, he happily went to get food. Gao Fei said goodbye to him, and then remembered that he had something to ask. He looked at GU depressedly. GU was packing his luggage into the closet. The closet in the bedroom was very large, and Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua did not take up much space. The remaining space was just right for him and Gao Fei. Hey, what's the matter with Lin Fan? Gao Fei looked confused. GU and Gao Fei knew each other when they were at the flight base. They were in the same flight group, but not in the same team, and the models they flew were completely different. The 2 knew each other, but they were not that familiar, a bit like colleagues in different departments in the same company. But GU's name was still very loud in the flight base, and high IQ has always been his label. But I don't know if people with high IQ are different from ordinary people. GU doesn't like to talk. Most of the time, he was quietly observing with his brown eyes. GU was also confused about Lin Fan's affairs, but he was not like Gao Fei, who was eager to find a solution. He put his notebook steadily on the desk, next to the monitor. Turning around, he saw Gao Fei still waiting for his answer, and said helplessly, "You will know it when you should know it." Since Lin Fan's identity needs to sign a confidentiality agreement, it proves that her secret is very important. What can be told to them will be known sooner or later. What cannot be told to them, it is useless to think about it. However, the psychologist named Jin Sichin. GU started the notebook, quickly typed Jin Sichin's name, and searched. Are you looking for Dr. Jin? Why? Gao Fei packed his clothes and came over to take a look. Don't you think Dr. Jin is very abrupt in that room? GU replied. Jin Sichin's information is not difficult to find because he is well known and has a vivid image. GU quickly found his information. What's abrupt? Gao Fei followed Jin Sichin's resume and exclaimed, "This is a master. Awesome." Jin Sichin's resume is very beautiful, and the achievements he has made are also real. In the psychology circle, he is indeed a big boss. There were a total of 6 people in the next room just now, the protected person Lin Fan, and our 4 reserve team members. So why is the psychologist there? GU said. What you said seems to make sense. Gao Fei was first confused by Jin Sichin's smile, and then by Lin Fan's identity. He was not as perceptive as GU. Where there are psychologists, there will be corresponding patients. Gu thought of Lin Fan standing by the bedroom door, not close to them, and said with certainty, Lin Fan should have a mental illness. Jin Sichin is her doctor. Gao Fen's eyes widened. Really? Just a glance just now. You can see it? Are people with high IQs so scary? Didn't you notice that she has been standing by the door and greeting us? Gu continued. Normal people who meet for the first time, the social distance is between 1.5 meters and 3 meters, and the public distance of strangers is only 3 meters away. Gao Fei thought about it. The distance between Lin Fan and them just now was nearly 5 meters. It's a bit far, but didn't you say that the distance between strangers is 3 meters? That's the distance for nodding. In the scene where both parties say hello, the distance is too far. Gu glanced at him, and when she said she wanted to have dinner with us, she showed obvious hesitation. Did she? Gao Fei didn't notice these. Yes, she hesitated. First looked at Dr. Jin, then looked at Captain Song, and after agreeing, didn't you find that Lee Chun-ho was particularly happy? Gu remembered it very clearly. Yes, Lee Chun-ho suddenly called out, and I didn't know what happened. Gao Fei nodded in agreement. Lin Fan should have social disorders. When facing strangers, she will subconsciously retreat. Gu looked at Gao Fei seriously. Dr. Jin has treated her to a certain extent and is encouraging her to contact strangers. Eating with us is a trial process for her. Gao Fei didn't know how to react. Gu's words sounded very reasonable. This led to Gao Fei couldn't help but carefully observe everyone's expressions when Lee Chun-ho came back from getting food and asked them to eat next door. Jin Sichin noticed it at the first time. Looking at Gao Fei, who thought he had concealed it well and whose eyes were glancing around, and then looking at Gu, who lowered his head and ate quietly, he sneered in his heart. Oh, smart guy. But it's time for Lin Fan to go to this step. In the past month, she had passed by the reserve team members on the reserve team's playground almost every day, and often went to the underground 623 laboratory, where she was calm and composed among a group of experimenters. Thinking of how she had tried to hide the bruises on her body without saying a word before, Lin Fan was much stronger than they thought. Jin Sichin felt that it was about time to give her a push. Gao Fei carefully observed Lin Fan with his peripheral vision, and it seemed that there was nothing wrong with him. Hey, why are people from your flight base transferred to us? Lee Chun-ho was puzzled by this matter. I always thought flying a plane was awesome. You two can fly, right? Gao Fei quickly came back to his senses and replied, I don't know. Yesterday our leader notified CUI to find me. He told me that I could drive Mecha here, so I came. In fact, he also thought it was quite fast, but the military has always been vigorous and resolute, and the two agencies are close to each other, so they didn't even need to drive a car. He and Gu walked here. It felt like they hadn't left the flight base. As for flying a plane, it was really exciting when I first went up to the sky. After flying for a long time, I felt that the sense of responsibility gradually increased, and I didn't think it was that awesome. Gao Fei smiled and said, in fact, we are all doing our job well in our own positions, which is no different from you. Well said. Lee Chun-ho gave him a thumbs up, feeling that he had finally found someone to talk to. Captain Song didn't pay much attention to him, and mainly trained him. Lin Fan didn't like to talk either, and he often talked to her. Dr. Jin, he still didn't dare to get close to him. Somehow, he thought Dr. Jin was a very gentle person at the beginning, but after getting to know him for a long time, he felt scared from the bottom of his heart. It must be said that Lee Chun-ho has the instinct of a wild animal. Now that Gao Fei has appeared, Lee Chun-ho finally has someone to talk to, but Gu next to him doesn't seem to like to talk either. He stretched his head to look at the silent Gu and tried to say something. Gu, right? What do you think of our place? Gu raised his light brown eyes, looked at Lee Chun-ho and replied, very good. After that, he buried his head in his bowl and ate more seriously than Lin Fan. Okay, he should talk to Gao Fei. Poor Lee Chun-ho, he couldn't find anyone to talk to. Who is smarter, Gu or Dr. Jin? Guess. Don't forget to vote. Chapter 113, Newcomer's Doubts. Gao Fei's observation was interrupted by the small talk with Lee Chun-ho. During the question and answer session, dinner time passed quickly. After everyone left, Lin Fan recalled her feelings during the meal. A little nervous, a little tense, a little afraid, but overall okay. She smiled and breathed a sigh of relief, ready to watch a drama to relax. Gao Fei and Jiyu followed Song and Lee back to the dormitory. Although they had a chat with Lee Chunhua for a meal, and had some emotional exchanges. But when facing Song Ren directly, they were still a little restrained. Song Ren glanced at Gao Fei, who didn't know where to put his hands and feet after entering the door, and Jiyu, who was better than him, and gave Lee Chunhua a look. Just sit down, what are you doing? Lee Chunhua successfully accepted the gesture, and leaned over with a smile. He is a person who likes lively. Although it is also very happy to follow idols, there has been no one to talk to. He said that he is very lonely and lonely. Who can understand the distress of being a chatterbox? Fortunately, there are new friends now. Especially Gao Fei. This guy's good, and you can chat with him. Gao Fei is not as talkative as Lee Chunhua. He just thinks that Lee Chunhua is a senior, and he is new here. If he doesn't respond, it will not be good in terms of politeness or workplace relations. Lee Chunhua puts his arm around Gao Fei and Jiyu's shoulders and drags them to sit on the sofa. Don't be restrained, be casual. Our boss is a nice guy, you will know later. Compared with his immediate boss Song Ren, senior Lee Chunhua is obviously more approachable. It is a great thing for a newcomer who has just entered an unfamiliar environment to meet such a senior. Song Ren poured 2 glasses of water on the coffee table and motioned for them to drink water. Gao Fei and Jiyu were a little convinced that Song Ren was not difficult to get along with in private. Jiyu's mentality was a little more stable, and he immediately picked up the glass of water and said thank you and drank slowly. Gao Fei also thanked him, picked up the glass of water, and secretly looked at Song Ren's back as he turned away. Song Ren took 2 more glasses of water from the table and walked to the sofa, handing a glass to Lee Chunhua who was leaning on the sofa motionlessly. Lee Chunhua answered with a smile, look, our boss is good. Gao Fei and Jiyu nodded in unison. This boss is completely different from what they imagined. Song Ren is famous, not just for the title of God of War of the Special Operations Department. During his training in the reserve team, he was also nicknamed Big Devil because of his strict training methods. This nickname is not only widely circulated within the 800, but also spread to the flight base next door. The flight instructor always compares the pilots with the reserve team members, saying how much easier his training of pilots is compared to Song Ren next door. So the two have heard of Song Ren's name. They thought they would meet a very strict leader, and they were somewhat nervous. But the gentleness shown by Song Ren soothed the little uneasiness in the hearts of the two. Our current schedule is mainly to improve physical fitness and Mecha adaptation training. I don't know how your physical fitness is, but it should not be up to standard, so be prepared to endure hardships. Song Ren leaned on the sofa and said to the two. Gao Fei and Jiyu looked at each other and asked, has the Mecha been developed? They thought the Mecha was not yet completed, and they had joined the team in advance to prepare. Unexpectedly, it was already completed. Yes, we are currently debugging the data to make the driver's control better, but the overall work has been completed. Song Ren replied. What about the task of protecting Lin Fan? Jiyu asked. Song Ren did not mention Lin Fan in his previous words. Lin Fan will act with us. We will take care of her in daily life and make sure that she does not get into any dangerous situations. Lee Chunhua replied. It's not the kind of routine protection mission you imagine. In the past few months, Lin Fan's skin has not been broken at all under their protection. He is very experienced in this regard. Tomorrow's schedule is as follows. In the morning, we will go to the office of 623, just in time to take you to recognize the place. In the afternoon, we will go to the training room for training. At that time, we will give you a quality test. Do you have any questions? Song Ren briefly explained the arrangements for the next day. The two shook their heads, and after asking about the time to get up early, Song Ren got up and went into the room. How is it? Is our boss not fierce? Lee Chunhua asked with a smile as she watched the two newcomers sitting upright like quails. Gao Fei nodded, and his expression was much more relaxed. Don't be restrained. As long as you complete the training mission, the boss will not care what you do at other times. Lee Chunhua imparted his experience. At this time, Song Ren suddenly poked his head out of the bedroom. You have got your work permits, right? Yes. Gao Fei and Jiu took out red badges from their pockets. There was no other place on the pilot's uniform, so they put them in their pockets first. Okay. Pin your work permits on your left chest starting tomorrow. Song Ren pointed to his chest. It's your entry and exit authority. And if you don't wear your work permits inside 800, the security department will investigate and deduct points. The two agreed in unison. Lee Chun-hua saw Song Ren walking away and came over with interest. What are your ranks? Captain. Gao Fei said, and looked at Jiu. Jiu also said, Captain. Lee Chun-hua saw the badges in the hands of the two people, both with 4 stars and a starring. He suddenly felt extremely distressed. It turned out that the clown was actually himself. There was no conversation that night. After a group morning run the next day, the 6 of them got on the tram and drove to the office building. Lin Fan could not adapt to high-intensity training all day, so when she was not on the machine, she usually trained in the afternoon and had free time in the activity room in the morning. After all, she had to take into account her mental state and could not be put under too much pressure. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua continued to do their own exercises on the soft cushions in the activity room. Unlike Lin Fan, they could strengthen their exercises from morning to night. When Gao Fei and Jiu entered the activity room for the first time, they were simply stunned. TV, sofa, big coffee table, various snacks, comics, small games. Why is there such a place in the project team studying Mecha? Or is it prepared just for Lin Fan alone? Who is Lin Fan? During the breakfast break, Jin Sichin came up with a new idea. Lin Fan, do you want to try eating in the cafeteria? Everyone stopped what they were doing. Seeing Lin Fan looking over, Jin Sichin said, I've asked Wu Yi. According to your current physical condition, you don't need a special nutritional meal. During this period, you have had good contact with the outside world. Do you want to try to take another step? Lin Fan looked at the breakfast on the plate without saying a word. Jin Sichin knew that she needed to think, so she didn't urge him and slowly ate again. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua also continued to eat as if nothing had happened. Gao Fei didn't understand. Didn't Lin Fan go to the cafeteria to eat before? How could going to the cafeteria to eat be a step forward? Jiu chewed the bun in his mouth, and his heart was more certain of his guess. Okay. Lin Fan didn't think too long and said to Jin Sichin with a curled lip, it's a matter of time anyway. After she came into contact with Gao Fei and Jiu yesterday, she felt okay, not as bad as she imagined. At that time, she knew that the matter of resuming normal social interaction would be brought up sooner or later. It's better to be early than later. Lin Fan's personality is the same. Since you can't avoid it, you might as well adapt to it sooner. Jin Sichin smiled even more happily. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua also laughed. The better Lin Fan is, the better Xingchen will be. Lin Fan didn't show any expression. She picked up the soy milk and wanted to unscrew the lid to drink it. After trying twice, she couldn't exert any strength in her hands. Seeing this, Song Ren naturally took the soy milk from her, unscrewed the lid, and handed it to her. Lin Fan thanked him, took it and drank it. Gao Fei and Jiu found that other people didn't react at all to this, as if they were used to it. They couldn't help but feel a little strange in their hearts. Does the protection work have to go to this extent? Captain Song is a warm man. I also want someone to unscrew the bottle cap for me. I need votes, lots of votes. Chapter 114 Adaptation. Jin Sichin got the answer he wanted and left with satisfaction. After finishing breakfast, Lin Fan leaned back on the sofa, turned on the TV, and started watching TV series. The TV series he watched last night was pretty good. Lee Chun-hua consciously cleaned up the desk. Song Ren walked to the corner with the chair hesitantly and introduced the general composition of the office. We normally have activities in 4 places: the office, the training room, the laboratory, and the dormitory. Song Ren said, Dr. Jin's psychological studio is next door. The laboratory here has been moved to other places and is now an empty room. Is Dr. Jin also a member of the team? Gao Fei asked. He is. But now, except for the weekly talk time, we are only together during working hours and breakfast. He has extra work, and most of the time he doesn't act with us. Song Ren did not explain what the conversation was. Ji Yu's eyelids drooped slightly. Gao Fei heard it, but didn't dare to ask. He just listened to Song Ren continue. Normally, the 5 of us will act together. You must get familiar with our rhythm as soon as possible. Keep up with the training and cultivate team tacit understanding. Song Ren thought about Cui Yan's intentions last night and felt that the reason why he moved so quickly was to allow the newcomers to adapt and integrate into them earlier. After 5 months of getting along, he, Lee Chun-ho and Lin Fan have developed a certain tacit understanding. Yes, the two answered in unison. If you don't have computer training, you will usually be free in this activity room in the morning and go to the training room to train your physical fitness in the afternoon. If you want to use the computer, you have to go to the laboratory. The rest of the time, it doesn't matter whether you stay in the activity room or the training room. Song Ren continued to introduce. In the activity room, you can use the things in it freely, read books, play games. But be careful not to make too much noise. Lin Fan is afraid of noise. Song Ren reminded. Also, you just arrived. Try not to move around in front of Lin Fan. Gao Fei glanced at Ji Yu, and when he saw him nod, he nodded too. Song Ren then whispered a reminder. Lin Fan is not very used to the unfamiliar environment and people. We should try to accommodate her and not put too much burden on her. Ji Yu was right, Gao Fei thought, and looked at Lin Fan who was leaning on the sofa watching TV, as if nothing had happened. He hesitated for a moment, but still didn't ask what her situation was. In short, follow us and adapt to the training rhythm as soon as possible within 3 days. Don't take the initiative to approach Lin Fan. Wait for her to get used to your presence, understand? Song Ren didn't say much. Understood. The two of them replied with their chests puffed out. Okay, let's do this for now. You can go out and see the layout of the office rooms by yourself and get familiar with this place first. Song Ren didn't care about them. After he finished speaking, Gao Fei and Ji Yu looked at each other and obediently prepared to go out to explore the new map. Seeing this, Lee Chun-ho naturally followed enthusiastically and wanted to introduce them. Song Ren walked to the sofa and started warming up while watching the strange plot on TV. In his peripheral vision, Lin Fan leaned on the sofa and watched the TV series intently, motionless. After Lee Chun-ho took the two of them around the office and introduced them to Dr. Zio, Wu Yi, and Kuang Li, Song Ren had already started lifting dumbbells. Lee Chun-ho, who was still laughing, immediately became quiet the moment she entered the room. He moved lightly, letting the two people behind him in, and then closed the door carefully, saying in a low voice, "You are free to move around and adapt to the environment first." After that, he walked behind the sofa and started to warm up. Song Ren and Lee Chun-ho dared not waste time casually now. When they were in the activity room, they also tried their best to strengthen their physical fitness. Lin Fan just played by himself. The two parties had nothing to do with each other, but they were harmonious. Looking at Song and Lee who were exercising, and Lin Fan who was lying on the sofa watching TV, Gao Fei and Ji Yu didn't know what to do for a while. They said they were allowed to move freely, but the leaders and seniors were exercising, so would they really not follow suit? Ji Yu didn't hesitate much, walked to the bookshelf, and took a book at random, sat down at the dining table, found a chair where he could see the sofa, opened the book, and seemed to read it seriously. Gao Fei saw this, and took a book from the bookshelf. He sat next to Ji Yu and whispered, "Don't you want to follow?" Ji Yu turned around, and saw that he was holding a book called Psychology and Life. He took it calmly, and handed him the comic in his hand. "We don't know anything now, so we can observe first." The position Ji Yu chose was facing the sofa. As long as he raised his head slightly, he could see the actions of the three people in front of him. "Since we are allowed to move freely, we will just listen," Ji Yu said, opened the book in his hand and read it carefully. He originally just wanted to use the book as a cover, and took a book at random. Unexpectedly, there were books related to psychology on the bookshelf. It's not surprising to think about it. Lin Fan has psychological problems. According to Song Ren and Lee Chun-ho's attitude towards her, they must have read relevant materials to deal with various emergencies. GU originally wanted to find an opportunity to learn about this knowledge in private, but now he doesn't have to hide and can read it openly. Seeing GU really reading a book and the three people in front completely ignoring them, Gao Fei had to pretend to read the comics in his hand. As a result, he was fascinated by it. In the morning, although there was no deliberate communication, the two newcomers seemed to be able to feel some team atmosphere. Lee Chun-hua took a taxi for lunch. Although it was decided to go to the cafeteria for lunch, at the moment, when the team had just added new members, Jin Sichin decided to let Lin Fan adapt to the two of them first, and not to try too many things at the same time, which would cause greater pressure on his mind. For the above reasons, Lin Fan will not go to the cafeteria for lunch until next Monday. After a short lunch break, Lee Chun-hua drove the small car borrowed yesterday to the reserve team venue with everyone. After arriving at the playground, he dropped off the 4 people and drove to the office to return the car. Song Ren took the 3 people to do a simple warm-up and started running around the playground. GU and Gao Fei ran a few steps before they realized that Song Ren was accommodating Lin Fan's pace, and Lin Fan was so slow. 5 km quality test, start the timing. Song Ren turned around and ordered the two. The two looked at the stopwatch he had taken out at some point, which had already started timing. They didn't care about anything else and rushed out quickly. Lin Fan felt a gust of wind blowing past him, and 2 figures rushed far ahead. Thinking about his own speed. Keep going. Seeing that Lin Fan was a little discouraged, Song Ren encouraged him. Lin Fan's current speed is a level of an ordinary person's jogging. Compared with the beginning, it is not slow. But if compared with other people in the reserve team, there is definitely no way to compare. After all, the standards are different. If Lin Fan is asked to speed up, it is also possible, but she will not have enough physical strength for the physical training later. Don't forget, there is another energy consumer Xingqian, which is constantly absorbing Lin Fan's physical strength. So they have been patient and let Lin Fan's physical strength slowly and steadily improve. The 2 figures in front can no longer be seen, and Lin Fan knows that he can't envy them. He exhaled from his nose and continued on the road under his feet. Gao Fei and GU, who do you like? New handsome guys are coming on stage one after another. Do you have any votes to encourage them? Chapter 115, Beating. After returning the car, Lee Chun-hua saw 2 friends running fast. He stretched his arms and legs a little and quickly followed them. On the track, only Gao Fei and GU were running fast. This was their first test after reporting, and both wanted to show their best. Gao Fei was in the front, and he had a distance of more than 2 meters from GU. GU chased Gao Fei closely, adjusting his breathing and pace, trying to find a chance to catch up with him. However, Lee Chun-hua overtook from behind and easily passed the two. I'll go first. He usually wouldn't run that fast, and Gao Fei and GU aroused his playfulness. He also wanted to show off his skills in front of the 2 newcomers. After all, last night's military rank hit him hard. His military rank was originally behind Jin Sichin, Song Ren, and Lin Fan, and he was already very unhappy. At first, he was full of emotions towards Lin Fan because of this, and glared at her a lot. Later, when he knew the truth and saw Xingqian, he naturally no longer felt wronged. He thought that with the arrival of 2 newcomers, he could finally get rid of his bottom position and bring his younger brothers with him. As a result, the 2 were younger than him, but their military ranks were 1 level higher than his. It was really unfair, although it was because of the academic qualifications. After all, Lee Chun-hua only had a high school education, but he still felt aggrieved. Why? He had been struggling for so many years, but he was still not as good as these young guys who had just graduated from school for 2 years. Of course he was not convinced, but he could only crush the newcomers in terms of physical fitness, so that they would realize that, although the military ranks were not as good, they were still brothers. Gao Fei was far ahead, surpassing batches of reserve team members jogging on the playground, and he felt a little proud in his heart. As everyone knows, 800 in the flight base are brother units. The reserve team and the flight team under the 2 units are always compared. It is said that the overall quality of the reserve team is better than that of the flight team. Can the pilots be convinced? Definitely not. Although Gao Fei has now become a member of the reserve team, psychologically, he has not completely broken away from the role of a pilot. When he surpassed the jogging reserve team, he felt proud. It seemed to be saying, "You guys in the reserve team are nothing special." But before he could feel proud for long, he was overtaken by Lee Chun-hua. He was stunned for a moment, and his steps slowed down, and Ji-yu behind him took the opportunity to overtake him. If he hadn't reacted in time, he would have been the last one now. But the price of being stunned was that Ji-yu had closed the distance and fell closely behind him. Gao Fei gritted his teeth, looked at Lee Chun-hua who had already run a long way away, and gathered his strength to speed up and catch up. Ji-yu ignored him and kept his rhythm and breathing, running at the original pace. Lee Chun-hua quickly ran 5 kilometers and returned to Lin Fan to replace Song Ren. As long as Lin Fan was outside, at least one of Song Ren or Lee Chun-hua had to be by her side. This was Cui Yan's order. Fortunately, both of them were more sensible, and Lin Fan didn't feel particularly uncomfortable. After a few months of getting along, everyone got used to it. Song Ren ran faster than Lee Chun-hua. If being surpassed by Lee Chun-hua only aroused Gao Fei's competitive spirit, then when being surpassed by Song Ren, the speed and sustained explosive power shattered Gao Fei's complacency that he thought he was doing well. All the reserve team members who were jogging on the playground were affected and unconsciously sped up. Song Ren, with his own strength, led the enthusiasm of the entire playground. Gao Fei suddenly accelerated when chasing Lee Chun-hua, disrupting his own rhythm, and was almost taken first by Ji-yu. He gritted his teeth and won Ji-yu with a one-body advantage. After the end, his mind was in a mess and he didn't know what to do. Ji-yu kept a normal mind. His quality was originally a little worse than Gao Fei, and the fact that he was only one body behind was the result of Gao Fei's disordered pace. Seeing that Gao Fei was hit so hard that he didn't know what to do, he kindly pulled him to stretch. After a while, Song Ren finished 5 kilometers. He was a little sweaty, but his breath was very steady. It didn't look like he ran at that speed at all. Gao Fei and Ji-yu had a direct understanding of the overall strength of the reserve team. No wonder Song Ren said that their physical fitness was not up to standard when they met yesterday. The two felt a little unhappy at the time. Now that I think about it, he was still polite. The 4 people who finished running accompanied Lin Fan to jog. Of course, Lin Fan didn't need to run 5 kilometers. Her task was 3 kilometers. Although she didn't stop and walk now, she was still running slowly. So, when Lee Chun-hua and Song Ren finished the 10-kilometer relay, she still had 1 lap to run. In this way, it was inevitable that they met the reserve team again. The young lady did well today. She didn't stop. Laughter came from the distant team. The voice was playful, but it was not malicious. The young lady is still working hard. These people can see Lin Fan almost every day. Although everyone has mixed emotions about this person, they can't deny that she is growing day by day. From walking and stopping for a lap of 800 meters, as if it was a joke, to now running 3 kilometers without stopping. She was a little slow, but you could see that she was trying hard. Does the young lady still need you to worry about her? Just run your own way. These people didn't deliberately avoid anything when they spoke, so Lin Fan and the others naturally heard it. When Gao Fei and Ji-yu were at the flight base, they had naturally heard the name of the young lady of the base. They were wondering what kind of a freak she was, and wanted to see it. It was not until now that they associated Lin Fan with this title. Lin Fan is a child of a leader? The two thought to themselves that it was somewhat consistent. But the leader's child can go anywhere? Why did he come here to suffer this? It seems that he is not in good health. Looking ahead, Song Ren didn't even turn his head, and his expression could not be seen. Lee Chun-hua turned his head unconvinced and glared at the team that ran over, but didn't say much. Lin Fan continued to run slowly, as if he didn't hear it. Gao Fei and Ji also pretended not to know and followed behind. Didn't Lin Fan hear it? Of course she heard it. She just didn't care. Not to mention that she doesn't know any of these people. Even if she did, it would be impossible to explain them one by one. What to say? Say you guessed wrong. I'm not the daughter of a big leader? What's the point? If she is the daughter of a real big leader, everyone will think it is excusable. But she is not. Then why is she able to enter the reserve team? Can it be Xingqian? No. Their speculation is based on Lin Fan's low strength. If the strength cannot be improved, any explanation is futile. Lin Fan turned a deaf ear to it and took steady steps, as if she wanted to step on the rumors. As long as she is strong enough, the rumors will naturally disappear. Lin Fan is in a good mood now, and all efforts will be rewarded. Vote. Which character do you like? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Gao Fei's Curiosity. Gao Fei Ngu's physical fitness is already the best in the flight team. If compared with ordinary reserve members, they can still compete. But unfortunately, their comparison objects are Song Ren and Lee Chunhua. Not to mention Song Ren, even Lee Chunhua was one of the top players in the reserve team before entering 623, not to mention their recent crazy training. With Lee Chunhua's current physical fitness, there is really no one stronger than him in the reserve team. Only Song Ren can make him bow his head. Gao Fei Ngu only felt the crushing after entering the training room. The intensity of their physical training is like ordinary people in the gym in front of Song and Lee. The gap is so big, it makes them feel that they are no different from Lin Fan. But obviously they can't compare with Lin Fan because they still have to drive a mecha. However, can Lin Fan with such a physique also drive a mecha? Is she really the leader's daughter? They didn't have much time to think about these things and soon welcomed Song Ren's stormy training. The physique of the new team member is similar to that of Lee Chunhua a month ago. Thinking about how he looked when he first got on the plane, it is obviously not possible. Fu Guang is becoming more and more perfect, and the operation feels much easier recently, but this is not a reason to relax. The control of humanoid mechas is much more difficult than traditional machines that rely on buttons and joysticks for remote control, because walking, sitting, and lying are all actions of the driver himself, which requires a lot of physical strength to control. Only when you can control it flexibly can you carry out various actions. A mecha that can be controlled flexibly is a qualified weapon. High intensity physical fitness is a skill that the driver must have. The 5 people's physical training is divided into 3 levels. The strongest are Song Ren and Lee Chunhua, Gao Fei Ngu in the middle, and Lin Fan is the lowest. Although Lin Fan's intensity is low, it is not easy for her to do it. Song Ren supervised Lin Fan while doing his own training. Every time Lin Fan felt that it was difficult to continue, he looked at Song Ren in front of him, who was doing a higher intensity training, and he insisted on continuing the next round. And Gao Fei Ngu, no matter seeing Lee Chunhua's intensity or Lin Fan's persistence, were greatly shocked. The spirit of not admitting defeat arose spontaneously. Time passed quickly in this mutual encouragement and spirit of not admitting defeat. The strength training came to an end, and everyone took a collective break. Gao Fei couldn't help but think of what the instructor of the flight team said about how intense Song Ren's training was. It turned out to be true. They had felt that Song Ren was a gentle and easy to talk boss before, but when it came to training, he became a different person. The nickname of Big Devil really lived up to its reputation. Ji was also panting. He had always been proud of his physical strength and high IQ, and he looked down on everyone in the flight team. As a result, he was severely slapped in the face on the first day of his arrival in the reserve team. The two had always been at the top of the pyramid before, and at this time, they both had the idea of not admitting defeat in their hearts. Lin Fan's training also came to an end. She was sweating all over, took the towel handed by Song Ren to wipe the sweat, and picked up the water cup to drink water. But her hands were weak and her joints hurt. After trying to twist it open, she handed the cup directly to Song Ren. Song Ren helped Lin Fan open the cup again naturally, and handed it back. Hey, is Captain Song interested in Lin Fan? Gao Fei asked Lee Chunhua beside him in a low voice. Isn't it normal for a girl to not be able to open a bottle cap? Lee Chunhua looked at Gao Fei with a strange expression. And she was lifting weights just now, so it's not normal that she didn't have the strength. Then she didn't open the soy milk lid for breakfast this morning either. Gao Fei said again, this is the second time She didn't have no strength in the morning, did she? That's because Lee Chun-hua suddenly stopped talking, as if she had thought of something. Her eyes rolled, and she smiled meaningfully. Don't think too much. Lin Fan's joints often hurt, and she can't use her strength. I often help her twist them. If you meet her in the future, you should also take the initiative to help. Gao Fei nodded, thinking that the fact that Lin Fan was the eldest daughter was becoming more and more reliable. Gu, on the other hand, keenly sensed Lee Chun-hua's pause and drooped his eyelids. Well, there are still things that he didn't let them know. Song Ren didn't plan to tell them about Xingqian at the beginning. After all, some things, no matter how many words you describe, are not as good as seeing them with your own eyes. Anyway, you can see them in the laboratory in 2 days, so there is no need to elaborate on them. What's more, the two of them have just come in and are not familiar with each other. It's better not to say such confidential things too hastily. The pattern on Brother Lee's badge is different from ours. Gu suddenly spoke up. He discovered when he was having dinner yesterday that the badges of several people were different from his. He had some guesses in his mind and wanted to wait for Gao Fei to ask, but he seemed to have never noticed it, so he had to take the initiative to bring it up. Lee Chun-hua's face suddenly fell a little. Yes, the pattern is similar to the previous shoulder straps, which is equivalent to military rank in 800. Oh. Gao Fei only then discovered the difference in the badge. He looked at Lee Chun-hua's badge carefully. Brother Lee, there is a star missing on yours. Lee Chun-hua suddenly didn't want to talk. Gu suddenly realized, if it follows the rule of shoulder straps, then Brother Lee is a lieutenant? Although he didn't want to talk, Lee Chun-hua still nodded stiffly. What's wrong with these guys? Want to show off or something? Gao Fei noticed that Lee Chun-hua's face was not good, and hurriedly said, Brother Lee, don't be angry. Don't we ask because we don't understand? There is no other meaning, right? Gu was poked by Gao Fei's elbow and pulled the corner of his mouth. Well, that's not the meaning. We really regard you as a senior. We don't know anything, and we hope you can teach us more. Lee Chun-hua felt better. There is no way. He is just short of military rank. But you can't expect something big to happen in order to get a promotion, right? If I had known I should have studied hard. He sighed with regret and found Gao Fei looking at Lin Fan, so he quickly stopped him. Don't look at it. How can you look at a girl's chest casually? What's more, it was a certain distance away, and the badge was not big, so it was hard to see clearly. Gao Fei also reacted and blushed. Lee Chun-hua said directly, Lin Fan is a captain, and the boss is a lieutenant colonel. Gao Fei and Gu looked at each other, and they didn't expect that Lin Fan's rank was higher than his. Looking at Lin Fan, who even needed help to screw the bottle cap, they really didn't understand why her rank was so high. It didn't look like she had any special skills. Where's Dr. Jin? Gu suddenly thought of the badge on Jin Sichan's chest that shone like a jewel, and asked. Dr. Jin is a colonel. Lee Chun-hua replied. For some reason, the two were not surprised when they knew Jin Sichan's rank, as if the boss should be at that level. In this way, Lin Fan's high rank can't help but make people think about it. Gao Fei's eyes rolled around, and he couldn't help but whispered to Lee Chun-hua, Brother Lee, is Lin Fan really the eldest daughter? Lee Chun-hua smiled, and before she could answer, she heard Song Ren calling Gao Fei's name. After a long rest, Lin Fan was going to start combat training. Over the past month, under the training of Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua, Lin Fan's reaction ability was no worse than that of some reserve players. But because her opponents had always been Lee Chun-hua and others, she didn't have a clear understanding. Gao Fei, have you ever had combat training before? Song Ren suddenly asked Gao Fei, who was chatting quietly with Lee Chun-hua. Gao Fei quickly stood up. Yes, but not much. The main training task of the flight team is still in the field of air flight, and the focus on combat training is not so strong. Song Ren nodded. Lee Chun-hua, practice with Gao Fei. Okay. Lee Chun-hua smiled and put on the gloves. It's time to let the new friend call him brother sincerely. Lee Chun-hua lost because of his academic qualifications. Education is indeed very important. Please give Lee Chun-hua some votes. Chapter 117 How to quickly close the distance. When facing Gao Fei, Lee Chun-hua certainly would not be as careful as he was with Lin Fan. He just slightly retracted his strength, the playful expression on his face disappeared, and he attacked without saying a word. Gao Fei was unable to react in time, and could only resist with all his strength. He was overwhelmed by Li Chunhua's attack, and retreated again and again. Li Chunhua did not hold back at all, and attacked at a speed as fast as a storm, as if he really wanted to give Gao Fei a head start. Song Ren watched for a while, and seeing that there was no problem, he called Ji Yu again. Captain Song. Seeing Gao Fei's miserable state, Ji Yu felt a little worried. Would Captain Song also train him like this? Song Ren clenched his fist, and punched Ji Yu on the shoulder. The force was not strong, and only knocked his shoulder a little off. What was he doing? Ji Yu was puzzled. Hit me back with this much force. Song Ren ordered. Ji Yu didn't understand, but still cooperated and punched Song Ren on the shoulder. Put on the gloves, and spar with Lin Fan with the same strength as before. Song Ren's order made Ji Yu and Lin Fan a little confused. Practicing with Lin Fan. Ji Yu frowned slightly. Even if his fighting skills were bad, he wouldn't be able to compete with Lin Fan, right? He had been paying close attention to Lin Fan when she was doing strength training just now. The intensity was about the same as that of ordinary women who often exercise in the gym. Practicing with Lin Fan, wouldn't it be bullying her? No, that's not right. Song Ren should want me to be her sparring partner and teach her some moves. Ji Yu's mind was full of thoughts, but he didn't show it on his face. He quickly put on the gloves. Lin Fan knew that she had to face Ji Yu at close range, and her first reaction was to resist. But thinking that Jin Sichin was still counting on her to go to the cafeteria, to eat in the morning, to interact with more people, and to resume normal social interaction. That's it, she would have to take this step sooner or later, so she encouraged herself. Usually, Song Ren and Li Chunhua were the sparring partners. Although the intensity was always increasing, they were more familiar with each other's routines. Suddenly a stranger appeared, and he didn't know what kind of attack he would face next. Lin Fan was alert, and looked at Ji Yu who was approaching. This was also one of Song Ren's purposes. He wanted Lin Fan and Ji Yu to practice against each other, firstly to see Ji Yu's level, and secondly to let him test Lin Fan's training results. Moreover, among the various ways to quickly close the distance between strangers, fighting is undoubtedly more suitable for Lin Fan at the moment. Although she agreed to resume normal social interaction, she was still timid in her behavior, so Song Ren decided to give her a push. Ji Yu glanced at Song Ren, and seeing that he didn't show any expression, he recalled the strength just now, and threw the first punch carefully. He was afraid of hitting Lin Fan, so he deliberately slowed down. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan's dodge was very agile, and didn't give him a chance to touch him. After several attempts, Ji Yu also began to take it seriously. If he continued like this, he would not be able to touch Lin Fan, which would make him look too weak. His competitive spirit was aroused, and he threw punches one after another, and his legs were not idle, looking for various opportunities to greet Lin Fan. Lin Fan was able to dodge at first, but as Ji Yu's attitude changed, he couldn't dodge, and was almost blocked by her. Originally, he could fight back from time to time, but later, he was only concerned with blocking, and couldn't spare more energy. When Song Ren called for a stop, Ji Yu was already panting. Although he had been pressing Lin Fan, he couldn't break through her defense without adding strength. It seemed that he won, but in fact he still lost. He gritted his teeth, and the confidence of the proud son of heaven collapsed bit by bit. On the other side, Li Chunhua and Gao Fei stopped at some point and watched the two people sparring. Just take a look at the refreshed Li Chunhua and the sweaty Gao Fei, and you can tell who will win and who will lose. Whether it was Gao Fei who lost miserably, or Ji Yu who won easily, they all felt uncomfortable. Li Chunhua walked over with a smile and praised Lin Fan. Lin Fan seemed to have found some different feelings in the sparring just now. Ji Yu's sense of oppression was far less than that of Song and Li. It seemed that, as long as she made a little more progress, she would be able to get rid of the situation of being suppressed. She glanced at Ji Yu and smiled gently. The resistance in her heart seemed to have really disappeared in the confrontation just now. Ji Yu was stunned when she saw Lin Fan's smile. Only then did she realize that Song Ren had this deep meaning in letting the two of them confront each other. Did you let up just now? Gao Fei asked Ji Yu in a low voice. When he saw it, Gu had already suppressed Lin Fan, but he could not break through the seemingly thin defense. He was anxious watching from the side. Would Captain Song think that they were not strong enough? No. Gu replied, except for the fact that I reduced my strength according to Captain Song's instructions. I did not let up at all. There is a physiological difference in the strength of men and women. It is normal to reduce strength. How is it? Lin Fan's reaction is not bad. Lee Chun-hua saw the two people muttering with surprise and walked up to show off the result of my boss and I training him for more than a month. Only more than a month. Gao Fei widened his eyes. Gu had expected it. Yes, Lee Chun-hua said with a smile, but Lin Fan can endure hardships herself. You didn't see that. In the first half month, she didn't have a single piece of good skin on her body. Thinking about the scene she saw at the beginning, Lee Chun-hua couldn't help but admire Lin Fan's perseverance. The team specially developed a cushioning combat suit for her. After putting it on, all the punches and kicks that hit her will automatically slide away, and she will never get hurt again. Gao Fei and Gu turned their heads to look at Lin Fan's training suit, which was the same as this, with a puzzled look on their faces. She didn't wear it. After trying it once, and finding that she didn't feel any pain when being attacked, she took off the combat suit. Lee Chun-hua thought of how dumbfounded she was at the time and felt funny. In the past month, she has been hit by us countless times before she can dodge flexibly now. Lee Chun-hua glanced at the two of them. With the same strength, you can't hit her. In time, the two had a preliminary understanding of Lin Fan's character. Looking at Song Ren, who was asking Lin Fan in a low voice, a hope was ignited in their hearts. Is this the result of Song Ren's training? If even Lin Fan can train like this, then they will be stronger, right? So, Lin Fan is also a mecha pilot? Gao Fei couldn't help asking in the end. Lin Fan was wearing the uniform of the reserve team. In theory, his identity should be beyond doubt. But the physical fitness requirements for mecha pilots are so high. Song Ren said that both of them were unqualified, so Lin Fan was even less qualified. When he heard the nickname of the eldest lady of the base, he thought she was the daughter of the leader and relied on her identity to get in. But looking at Lee Chun-hua's description of Lin Fan, the efforts she showed didn't seem to be the case. When he couldn't figure it out, he asked his senior. After being defeated by Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei was more convinced of him. Lee Chun-hua smiled meaningfully. Yes, it's a mecha pilot. A very important mecha pilot. The soul of the 623 project. Without her, there would be no Fu Guang today. This is why we need to protect her. When we were in school, male classmates always had a better relationship after a fight. What's the principle? I want votes. Support more. Chapter 118 Slap in the face. Fu Guang? It was the first time they heard a new term. Ah, the boss's mecha is called Fu Guang. Lee Chun-hua thought of Fu Guang's increasingly improved functions and explained to the two. Now we use the boss's Fu Guang when we go on the machine. We have to wait until Fu Guang confirms that the debugging is complete before we can build a new mecha for us. He spoke to the two of them, speaking in a mysterious way. When Song Ren looked over, Gao Fei and Gu were already full of longing. Lee Chun-hua, Song Ren called, after pointing out the mistake Lin Fan had made just now. Follow the disassembly just now, and do it again with Lin Fan. Okay. Lee Chun-hua responded happily. He imitated Gu's actions just now, and attacked Lin Fan. Song Ren stood by and gave instructions, and Lin Fan quickly adjusted his actions according to his words. Soon, it was difficult for Lee Chun-hua to touch Lin Fan's body. She had gone from narrowly avoiding it to being able to do it with ease. Gu and Gao Fei stood by and were surprised. It was only the second time, and her ability was much better than before. Although Song Ren was guiding her, her learning ability and reaction speed were really amazing. Gu himself was a person who learned very quickly, but he still couldn't help but sigh. Is such a fast learning ability real? If he were to practice with Lin Fan again now, he might find it difficult to suppress her, like he did just now, and he couldn't even touch her body. Lin Fan's ability to accept and learn quickly left a deep impression on the two. After Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei also had a face-to-face communication with Lin Fan, and deeply felt the terrifyingness of Lin Fan. Although she was not very strong, and had been dodging, Gao Fei didn't even touch the edge of Lin Fan's clothes in the more than 10 minutes of confrontation, which made him very frustrated. Yu looked at Lin Fan, who was more flexible than before, and couldn't help but feel fortunate that he was the first to go on stage. Gao Fei repeatedly failed to hit Lin Fan, and in a hurry, he forgot to control his strength. A punch pushed Lin Fan's block away and hit her. He was stunned in disbelief. At the moment when he was stunned, Lin Fan threw a straight punch, hitting him directly on the jaw. The force was not strong, but it woke him up. Before he could react, Lin Fan kicked him straight. He took several steps back before he could stabilize his center of gravity. Gao Fei, why are you distracted during the fight? Song Ren frowned and scolded. He saw that Gao Fei obviously increased his strength, but before he could say anything, he was stunned. Lin Fan seized the opportunity and punched and kicked him again, which Song Ren thought was very exciting. Gao Fei's face turned red, and he lowered his head in embarrassment. He didn't expect that he would really be hit by Lin Fan. The tickling force ironically tore apart his pride. He used to think that Lin Fan had a poor physique, and that she had some connections to become a Mecha pilot, but he didn't expect that he would be slapped in the face by her. Lee Chun-hua and Yu were also stunned by this scene, and didn't know how to react for a while. Don't be distracted during the fight. At the same time, never underestimate your opponent, Song Ren said to the others. Gao Fei's name was not called, but Gao Fei knew that he was talking about him. In Lin Fan's eyes, Gao Fei lowered his head and said nothing, with his exposed neck and ears red. How pitiful, she thought to herself. But she didn't know what to do. Seeing Song Ren's serious face, not even glancing at Gao Fei, she had to ask Lee Chun-hua for help. Lee Chun-hua put her arm around Gao Fei's shoulder and pulled him aside, whispering to comfort him. Song Ren walked to Lin Fan, rolled up her sleeves, and sure enough, she saw a large red patch. Seeing Song Ren frown, Lin Fan pulled her hand back, put down her sleeves, and said nonchalantly, I just had a physical examination yesterday. Maybe it will disappear next week and you won't be able to see it. Song Ren was not afraid of what Dr. Zhao or Jin Sichin would say. It was just that thinking that Gao Fei and Yu were too uncontrollable, she decided that she or Lee Chun-hua would practice with Lin Fan in the future. Lin Fan was afraid of pain, and he always remembered it. With Lee Chun-hua's comfort, Gao Fei slowly regained his mentality. He also thought about the heavy punch he threw out of control before, which must have hurt Lin Fan. Lin Fan didn't blame him at all, but Gao Fei was extremely ashamed and apologized to Lin Fan. He could no longer hold back any contempt in his heart. Just like that, through a sparring match, Lin Fan quickly became familiar with Gao and Ji. Lee Chun-hua watched her talk to the two naturally and gave Song Ren a thumbs up. After several sparring matches, Gao Fei and Yu, who were doing high intensity training for the first time, felt exhausted. Song Ren allowed them to rest and asked them to get books on Mecha training subjects to study. There was a small desk in the training room, which was used for daily things and books. Recently, the laboratory issued a thick manual for Fu Guang, so that Song and Lee could familiarize themselves with the internal mechanical structure of Fu Guang in case of emergency. Lin Fan was also tired and leaned on the exercise equipment in a daze. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua continued their physical training. The high intensity made Gao Fei and Yu realize their shortcomings again. But they really didn't have the energy to practice, so they had to read the book honestly. Back to the dormitory at night, Gao Fei saw Yu still reading the manual and asked curiously, can you remember it all? He knew that Yu's IQ was very high. Could he remember everything he saw? Almost all of it. Yu looked up from the book and replied, I can remember most of it, but it's not like you think. The whole article is imprinted in my mind word for word. I would have taken the book back to read it earlier. Gao Fei felt that his performance today was not good enough. Yu knew that he was still thinking about the slap in the face by Lin Fan in the afternoon and didn't know how to comfort him for a while. What are you thinking about? Lee Chun-hua came over. I said you should take the book back to read it. Gao Fei felt that he had received more blows today than in the previous 10 years. Lee Chun-hua smiled and said to Yu, try not to bring confidential information such as the manual back to the dormitory. It would not be good if other people saw it. It was also for this reason that they kept the manual in the training room, wanting to read it when they had a break from physical training. Oh, sorry. Gu realized that he had done something wrong and apologized quickly. It's okay. Actually, no one is coming here, but just in case, we still have to pay attention. Lee Chun-hua smiled, pointed to the small bookshelf opposite the sofa, and said to Gao Fei, there are some mecha-related materials over there, which are not confidential. You can also take a look. Gao Fei walked over, and saw that there were indeed many related books. He happily took one, and walked back to the sofa. Brotherly, are these books necessary for training? Gu suddenly asked. Lee Chun-hua nodded. Yes, as a pilot, how can I not understand the structure of mecha? Captain Song and I often study at fixed times during rest time, or at night, before going to bed. Then does Lin Fan not need to study? I saw her sitting in a daze in the back today, and you didn't ask her to read books. Gao Fei asked. She doesn't need to read, Lee Chun-hua replied. Lin Fan had tried to read books with them before, but the professional terms in the books were too complicated, and as a liberal arts student, Lin Fan quickly confused himself. The idea of understanding Fuguan was aborted. Gu and Gao Fei looked at each other, thinking about something, and not asking any more questions. Gao Fei's curiosity was piqued. She is also a pilot in the project team. Why do I feel that she is treated specially by you, and is completely different from you? She is different. Lee Chun-hua smiled mysteriously. You will know when the time comes. Gao Fei called Lin Fan. The boy is really pitiful. Lin Fan is still pretty good now. Vote to encourage him. Chapter 119. Surprise. In the next 2 days, Gao Fei and Gu adapted quickly. Because they remembered the abuse on the first day clearly, they were very motivated. But when it comes to training, motivation alone is useless. The training intensity of the flight team is indeed not as high as that of the reserve team, not to mention the intensity that Song Ren and his team are currently doing. Even if they want to keep up, their bodies won't allow it. If the strength ratio is calculated based on physical fitness, Lin Fan is actually stronger than them. Because Gao Fei and Gu didn't control the strength accurately, Lin Fan's arm was indeed bruised the next day. In order to avoid cumulative injuries, Song Ren adjusted the training plan and focused on legs in the next 2 days. Although the kick that kicked Gao Fei away that day was unexpected, the strength of a person's legs is indeed stronger than that of his hands. Use fists within 1 meter and legs beyond 1 meter. You have mastered it very well, Lee Chun-hua said with a smile on the opposite side. Lin Fan kicked him with a few whip kicks and combination punches in succession, and then turned around and kicked him with a whip kick. Isn't it because you taught me so hard? She thought to herself. This is a physical memory formed after being beaten so many times. To exaggerate a bit, it is not an exaggeration to say that this is a blood and tears experience. She said nothing and continued her attack. Lee Chun-hua also cooperated by feeding her moves, revealing a flaw from time to time, and then easily defeated Lin Fan after she took the bait. Gao Fei and Gu were stunned on the side. This kind of sparring is no different from the training between them, except that the strength was deliberately reduced. No wonder Lin Fan had the same reaction as yesterday after more than a month of training. They were completely convinced. In a blink of an eye, it was Friday again. In the morning, they did not go to the office building, but went directly to the training room for training. The two newcomers felt the difference. After asking Lee Chun-hua, and knowing that they would go to the laboratory to test the mecha in the afternoon, they were immediately excited. Gu was okay, hiding it in her heart. Gao Fei wrote happiness and nervousness directly on his face. The following training did not give them a chance to think too much. When they finally stopped, the only thing left in their minds was tiredness, and they could not think of anything else. This fatigue diluted the excitement in their heads a lot. It was not until they entered the elevator of the underground fortress that the novelty of unfamiliar things came back. Just like Granny Liu entering the Grandview Garden, not only Gao Fei was stunned, but even Gu stared with wide eyes and looked around. This sense of wonder reached its peak when they entered the 623 laboratory and saw the 3D image of the stars. Song Ren introduced the two new pilots to everyone in the laboratory and also introduced them to several researchers in the laboratory. After a chaotic greeting, Ke Wenbin led several people to Fu Guang. "The outer shell has been lightened again," he said, patting Fu Guang's grey armor. "It should be lighter this time." Song Ren nodded. "The two newcomers' driving suits haven't been prepared yet, right?" "No, I was just about to tell you. Because Director CUI acted too quickly, the new team members' driving suits haven't been prepared yet." Ke Wenbin said to Song Ren, "If you want them to test the plane today, you can only lend them your clothes first. After coming down, take them to measure their bodies." Gao Fei and Song Ren are of similar height, and Ji Yu and Li Chunhua are of similar height, so it's okay to borrow them temporarily. Li Chunhua took the two to the locker room to change clothes. Because one person had to go out first to demonstrate, when they came out of the locker room, only Li Chunhua and Gao Fei were wearing driving suits. After Li Chunhua put on the helmet, he called the Zinglan system familiarly and turned on Fu Guang. While operating, he explained to the two people on the sidelines and made Fu Guang perform various actions in a coherent manner, cooperating with various commands issued by the command desk. Although Fu Guang has not been painted, it is just the iron grey color of the metal, which is not dazzling at all. But Gao Fei and Ji Yu were still excited, thinking that they would soon be able to operate such a mecha. Who could control their excitement? After Li Chunhua finished the operation, it was Gao Fei's turn. Under the command of the staff, he entered Fu Guang step by step. Before he could adapt to the internal space, his body was pressed down by the driver's adaptive pressure. When the command desk issued the action command, Gao Fei felt that he could not help himself and moved his hands and feet very hard. At this time, he suddenly understood why Song Ren and Li Chunhua were already very strong, but they kept training every day. It turned out that the physical fitness requirements for mecha operation were so high. After trying a few simple commands and finding that Gao Fei could not execute them well, the command desk knew that he was not up to it and quickly asked him to withdraw. Ji Yu had already changed into Li Chunhua's clothes and was waiting on the side. He saw that Gao Fei was weak and pale after coming down and knew that the test was not easy, so he went up with gritted teeth. Ji Yu's physical fitness was actually a little worse than Gao Fei's, so when he came down, he was sweating all over. For the first time, I felt that my physical fitness was so poor. Li Chunhua was very agile when she got on the plane just now. Both of them felt a huge deficiency from this test and secretly decided to intensify their practice. After Gao Fei took off the driving suit and returned it to Song Ren, Li Chunhua took them to the next room, which was responsible for the production of driving suits, to measure their physical data. The data of the driving suit was relatively detailed, so Li Chunhua only sent the person there and left. After all the measurements were completed, they returned along the original route and saw two mechas fighting in the middle of the training ground. The metal collision produced a huge echo, attracting everyone's attention. Song Ren's control was very smooth, as if he had merged with the iron grey Fu Guang. The other mecha with a white background and red flowers, although slightly smaller in size, was not inferior to Fu Guang in strength. The two sides seemed to be equally strong. They had exchanged more than a dozen moves, and the huge collision sound made people's periostea make. "Who is that?" Gao Fei shouted with wide eyes. They just walked away for a while. "What's the situation now? Is it Li Chunhua?" Ji Yu searched quickly and found Li Chunhua, who was watching with great interest on the sidelines. "It's not Brother Li," Ji Yu said, and Brother Li said that there is only one mecha in Fu Guang now. "Who is in the mecha opposite Fu Guang?" Gao Fei was a little dizzy. "Wait, why does the other mecha look familiar to me?" Ji Yu walked a few steps to the side and took a look at the front of Xingchen. "Of course you are familiar with it. It's the 3D image at the door." Gao Fei took a closer look, and it was indeed the 3D projection at the entrance. At that time, they took a glance and were pulled away by Song Ren to introduce it, so they didn't look at it more. Because Li Chunhua said that Fu Guang was the only mecha that was manufactured, they subconsciously thought that it was just a concept map and had not been manufactured yet, so they didn't think much about it. But now the facts are clearly not what they thought. Put aside whether the mecha is newly built, two mechas that are in a close fight must need two pilots. Li Chunhua is standing on the sidelines, and they are here again. Put aside Song Ren, the confirmed candidate. The pilot of the other mecha seemed to be pointing at only one person. Lin Fan. Gao Fei and Ji-Yu's current physical fitness is about the same as Li Chunhua's first time on Fuguang. Well, you need to exercise more. Give me votes. Chapter 120. Another possibility. Gao Fei and Ji-Yu looked at each other and saw each other's answer in each other's eyes. They ran forward quickly. It was obvious that Lin Fan's quality was very poor, so how could he become so powerful now? It's over. A voice came from the white mecha. Although it was a little distorted through the metal shell, it was indeed Lin Fan's voice. Before Gao Fei had time to ask Li Chunhua anything, he saw that the originally evenly matched situation changed instantly. The white mecha suddenly lifted up the iron grey Fuguang and kicked him out. Fuguang turned his body in the air, lowered his center of gravity, and knelt on one knee to stop his momentum. Gao Fei and Ji-Yu were stunned and forgot what they wanted to say. They just opened their mouths blankly. How did Fuguang suddenly lose? Captain Song's operation was so smooth, but he actually lost. And lost to Lin Fan. Ji-Yu looked at the people around him, and they were not surprised at all, as if it was normal for Fuguang to lose. Even Li Chunhua was happy, as if he was used to it. More surprising is yet to come. After the white mecha pulled Fuguang up, it suddenly disappeared. Instead, Lin Fan stood there. Ji-Yu rubbed his eyes, and rubbed them again. It was Lin Fan. His IQ was off for the first time. What was going on? Gao Fei couldn't react either. How did he suddenly turn into a living person? Li Chunhua turned his head, and saw the two petrified people. His smiling expression foreshadowed his pride. He didn't say anything at the beginning just for this moment. Until Song Ren got off Fuguang and changed his clothes, the two people were still in a daze. Hey, wake up! Li Chunhua shouted. The laboratory is not a good place to talk. The two people, who were full of questions, followed the other three back to the dormitory. On the way, Ji-Yu had figured out some of the joints. Why should Lin Fan be protected? Why is Lin Fan a key figure in the project team? Now there is an explanation. Although it is still unclear why Lin Fan turned into a mecha. After watching Lin Fan return to the room, the others also returned to their dormitories. Song Ren told the two people in detail about Lin Fan's identity, the specific situation of the transformation into a mecha, and various precautions. The bizarre description stirred up a great uproar in the hearts of the two. Although they had witnessed it with their own eyes, the fact that went against common sense was still difficult to accept completely at once. Isn't this a scientific research institute? How can there be a transformation? Gao Fei looked strange. Ji-Yu's acceptance was relatively better, which might be related to the fact that he figured out some things on the way. Anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, you can ask them. Song Ren crossed his hands and leaned on the back of the sofa. Ji-Yu thought for a while and said hesitantly, I have doubts about one of your inferences. What? Song Ren knew that Ji-Yu had a high IQ and attached great importance to the opinion he was about to put forward. Lin Fan has been in a weak state in the early stage. You all said that she was caused by various states of depression. Ji-Yu said calmly. Yes, is there any problem? Li Chunhua asked, leaning on the armrest of Song Ren's sofa. What if her weakness is not caused by depression? Ji-Yu asked. What do you mean? Song Ren asked. Since Xingqian is consuming Lin Fan's energy now, why didn't it happen before? Ji-Yu pointed out sharply, is there a possibility that Lin Fan's weakness in the early stage was caused by Xingqian consuming her physical energy, rather than depression? The others frowned and thought. But, is there any difference? Li Chunhua thought about it, but didn't understand. Lin Fan's weak state has been relieved through exercise. Is there any point in discussing why she was weak in the past? Of course there is a difference. Although the result is the same. But the cause is very different. We regard Xingqian as a system mounted on Lin Fan. If it is because of maintaining her operation and absorbing the energy of Lin Fan's body, causing Lin Fan to be weak and even blank in the brain, then it means that Lin Fan's various symptoms in the later stage are not entirely caused by depression. Ji-Yu said firmly, just like the pain in her body, it has been confirmed that it was caused by the transformation of Xingqian. So why are other symptoms not caused by Xingqian? Li Chunhua seemed to understand a little. That is to say, Lin Fan's depression may not be as serious as we expected. She just showed a state close to the state of depression because too much energy was extracted from her. So, Gao Fei understood the meaning. Song Ren felt that Jiu's statement made sense. None of them had thought of such a possibility before. Everyone thought that Xingqian's absorption of Lin Fan was after the upgrade, but if Xingqian had been absorbing Lin Fan's energy from the beginning, it would indeed be possible that she would be exhausted. Considering Xingqian's demand for energy, this is entirely possible. Song Ren urgently contacted Jin Sichen and explained what happened to him. Jin Sichen didn't say anything for a long time after listening, and he also felt that such a deduction made sense. But now that Lin Fan's physique has improved, and most of his emotional problems have been solved, it seems that there is no way to trace the source. He said that Lin Fan's psychological recovery was faster than he expected. If the various states in the early stage were an illusion caused by Xingqian, then such a recovery speed was reasonable. And Lin Fan's psychological problems were not as serious as expected, which was naturally the best. This means that she can recover faster. In this way, it is even more necessary to quickly advance her socialization process. And this day soon arrived. On Monday morning, Li Chunhua drove a group of 5 people to the cafeteria. The cafeteria of 800 is on the first floor of a complex building, and it looks like a shopping mall. It has been nearly half a year since Lin Fan came to 800, but this is the first time for him to eat in the cafeteria. Gao Fei and Jiu also came to the cafeteria of 800 for the first time, and they couldn't help but look around. Come on, take the plate here. Li Chunhua helped Lin Fan get a plate and introduced it to everyone in a familiar way, leading the way in front. Lin Fan followed him, followed by Song Ren. Gao Fei and Jiu followed closely behind. What do you want to eat? I'll get it for you. Li Chunhua is a lively person, and he has long wanted to go out to the cafeteria to eat with everyone. Now he finally got his wish, and was very happy. He helped to get food in the first few days when Lin Fan came, but Lin Fan was not picky, and he didn't know what she liked to eat. Later, Wu Yi took over the nutritious meals, and Li Chunhua just came to the fixed window to get the food every time. Lin Fan was not picky about food, and she ate whatever was available. So even though they had been eating at the same table for half a year, and knew Song Ren and Jin Sichen's tastes and preferences, Li Chunhua had no idea about Lin Fan's preferences. When they came in, they attracted a lot of attention. Especially the players of the reserve team, they all looked at them straight. Lin Fan didn't care about other people's eyes. As long as they didn't get close to each other, she didn't care. She was used to eating nutritious meals, and didn't know how to choose. But seeing Li Chunhua smiling so enthusiastically in front of her, she didn't want to return his kindness. Because her whole body was aching, she let Li Chunhua help her get the tray, put her hands in her pockets, raised her chin casually, ordered a few breakfasts, and lowered her head without saying a word. Li Chunhua quickly helped Lin Fan get breakfast, took her to pay the bill, and found a seat to sit down. Gao Fei and Jiu also successfully got their meals under the leadership of Song Ren and sat together. Just as they were about to start eating, they heard sparse discussions. The eldest lady is indeed the eldest lady, and she still needs help to get food. Of course not. What else do you want to compete with others? Call me brother, and I will help you get food. Go to hell. I'm not as delicate as the eldest lady. My hands are very useful. Gao Fei couldn't help but stand up and retort when he heard these meaningful words, but Jiu pressed his shoulders first. Confidentiality agreement. Jiu leaned over and whispered in Gao Fei's ear. That's right, Lin Fan's identity cannot be exposed. Gao Fei let out a depressed breath. Looking at Lin Fan, who was eating breakfast unmoved, he picked up his chopsticks and buried his head in the food. This possibility is also very important, proving that Lin Fan's condition is not that serious. So she will get better soon. Just now, a reader commented, and I realized that Lin Fan rarely complained in her heart recently, so I quickly went back to read the previous part. After reading it, I found that, although she complained less in her heart, she can speak now, so there is still no problem with the logic. But the description of the protagonist is indeed weakened. Well, I'm also reflecting on it. Reflect on it. I'm trying to adjust. Readers, if you have any ideas, please interact with me. An author who writes alone will fall into a blind spot. Please vote to encourage me. Chapter 121 Jiang Yu. A few days later, as more and more people met Lin Fan in the cafeteria, the discussion became more and more frequent. Most of them were negative. Lin Fan himself didn't care much. As for the others, they could only pretend not to hear, because of the confidentiality agreement. They went about their business, and ate without paying attention to anyone. This attitude made the public opinion ferment even more fiercely, and the messages spread like a torrent in the reserve team. At lunchtime that day, several people just sat down, after getting their meals, and picked up their chopsticks to eat. Unexpectedly, a female reserve team member walked to their table. Captain Song. The person greeted Song Ren politely. Song Ren looked up at her, nodded, and continued to focus on the food in front of him. Hey, who is this? Gao Fei approached Li Chunhe and asked quietly. My name is Jiang Yu, the flower of the reserve team. Li Chunhe kept her expression unchanged, and made a sound carefully. She didn't dare to let Jiang Yu find out that he was talking. Gao Fei got the answer he wanted, and carefully straightened his body, pretending to eat seriously, but actually watching the show with his peripheral vision. Jiang Yu is one of the few female players in the reserve team. Because of her strong business ability and beautiful appearance, she is very popular in the reserve team. Many single male players like Jiang Yu, but the one Jiang Yu likes in her heart is Song Ren. After several explicit hints, Song Ren did not accept. Everyone knows that Song Ren has no interest in Jiang Yu. But Jiang Yu has never given up. Others are waiting and watching. Some people even bet privately to see if Jiang Yu can really succeed in chasing the big devil. When Song Ren first appeared on the playground with Lin Fan, the news was passed to Jiang Yu's ears by the ear reporting god. Later, Jiang Yu also saw them on the playground several times. But although Song Ren felt unexpectedly considerate, there was no love in his eyes. So when he heard the rumors about the eldest lady of the base later, he only thought that Song Ren was completing a task. As a result, these days, Lin Fan and others were eating in the cafeteria, and the matter that Li Chunhe and Song Ren helped to carry the tray was spread all over the sky. After Jiang Yu witnessed it with his own eyes, it was indeed the fact, and he was very angry. She felt that, no matter what Lin Fan's status was, as a reserve team member, such behavior was too much. Jiang Yu pointed at Lin Fan who was eating with his head down. Why do you need someone to help you serve your food? Lin Fan looked up in confusion and saw a heroic female team member standing in front of him. She was about 1.6 meters tall and had a healthy wheat-colored skin. Her short hair was pulled into a small tuft at the back of her head, and her big almond eyes were staring at her unhappily. Seeing Lin Fan looking up at her, Jiang Yu said with a little anger, "You are so good, even if you rely on your status, you can't treat the reserve team members as servants. You know, our reserve team members have been screened through layers and entered the 800 reserve team, not to serve you food." Lin Fan thought, I didn't treat them as servants either. Who is this woman? Looking at the badge, well, she is younger than me, so I don't need to care. She pretended not to hear anything and continued to eat with her head down. Seeing that Lin Fan ignored her, Jiang Yu's anger increased. The expression on his face was obviously angry. Gao Fei admired Lin Fan for not paying any attention to him. When someone rushed to her to accuse her, she could pretend not to hear anything and just eat her own food. The reserve players who were watching knew that the conflict was going to escalate when they saw this reaction, so they continued to watch the situation with interest. You are so rude. Don't you even pay attention to others when they talk to you? Jiang Yu stepped forward and said angrily. You don't respect others like this. Do you have any basic qualities? Jiang Yu had always had a good impression of Song Ren. Although she couldn't get him, she still paid attention to him. He was suddenly transferred away, and everyone thought he had joined some top secret project team and started driving tasks. Unexpectedly, he is now accompanying the young lady to study. Isn't this delaying Song Ren's development? And what's wrong with this woman? Why is she still ignoring him? Lin Fan raised his head slowly, looking at the angry woman in front of him. He blinked twice, not knowing why. Jiang Yu. Song Ren spoke out to stop him. But Jiang Yu saw that Lin Fan had no expression on his face. Thinking that she was playing dumb and provoking him, he didn't care about Song Ren's obstruction at all, and his anger grew even bigger. Do you know what kind of existence Captain Song is in our reserve team? How can you let him serve dishes with a clear conscience? Gao Fei pulled the corner of Lee Chun-hua's clothes and raised his eyebrows at him, meaning to ask, is this woman interested in Captain Song? Lee Chun-hua didn't dare to speak, turned her head sideways, and blinked at Gao Fei at an angle that Jiang Yu couldn't see, revealing a knowing smile. Jiang Yu, that's enough. Song Ren had to speak out to stop him again. I'm very satisfied with the current task allocation, and there is nothing for you to complain about. Lin Fan didn't say anything, but Song Ren spoke out to stop him, which made Jiang Yu feel a little sad. She got hot-headed and continued to accuse, you have so many people playing games with you every day, which not only delays your own life, but also delays the future of others. A young lady who even needs others to take the plate for food is not worthy of entering the reserve team, not worthy of being a soldier. For a moment, the cafeteria was silent. Although everyone didn't like Lin Fan, the eldest lady, they still felt that Jiang Yu's words were too intense. Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei, and Ji Yu all frowned at the same time. From Jiang Yu's perspective, it seemed that he was not wrong. But they knew Lin Fan's situation, and such words were too hurtful. Song Ren was about to get angry when he heard Lin Fan speak. No, Lin Fan was not affected by Jiang Yu's anger at all, and replied with 2 words lightly. He lowered his head and continued to eat. What's not? After Jiang Yu finished speaking, he felt that he had said it too harshly and regretted it a little. Hearing Lin Fan say this suddenly, he couldn't react at once. Lin Fan finished the food in his mouth, put down his chopsticks, and solemnly said to Jiang Yu, I'm not a soldier. Her voice was not loud, but because everyone was waiting for her answer, it was very quiet around. When she finished speaking, there was an uproar. Jiang Yu had originally felt a little guilty, but was swept away by anger. She thought Lin Fan was arguing with her, and wanted to say something, but was stopped by Song Ren loudly. Jiang Yu, go back to where you belong. Song Ren was very angry. Jiang Yu's words were out of measure. Jiang Yu's eyes turned red. Song Ren actually yelled at her? Even when his confession was rejected, Song Ren had never been so fierce to her. Looking at Song Ren's serious expression, his eyes stared at her, as if she said one more word, Song Ren would really be rude to her. Jiang Yu glared at Lin Fan hatefully and turned away. The people around also dispersed, but they didn't dare to let Song Ren remember their names. Lin Fan continued to eat with his head down, as if nothing had happened. Song Ren continued to eat lunch without saying a word. Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei, and Ji Yu looked at each other, and all of them ate in silence. It was cold, and if they didn't eat, the food would get cold. Captain Song's admirer appeared. Here come the votes. Chapter 122 Dragon Group. On the way to the training room after dinner, Lin Fan and Song Ren walked in front, while Lee Chun-hua and the other 2 were a few steps behind. Brotherly, sister just said that she is not a soldier. Is it true, or is it out of spite? Gao Fei asked in a low voice. Ever since seeing Xingqian's strength, Gao Fei has recognized Lin Fan from the bottom of his heart. He no longer calls Lin Fan by her name, but starts to call her sister. Ji Yu didn't think of changing his words at first, but after Gao Fei changed it, it seemed a bit abrupt for him to call her by her name. Besides, Lin Fan is almost 10 years older than him, so it's not a disadvantage to call her sister. And he really admires Xingqian, so he changed it without any ideological struggle. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua didn't change it. They have been calling her by her name for half a year, and they are used to it. They feel that calling Lin Fan is more familiar. I don't know. Lee Chun-hua thought about it carefully. There is indeed no mark in this regard in the information. Gao Fei looked at the serious Song Ren in front of him, and moved his eyes to Lin Fan. It feels that it is better to ask Lin Fan directly than to ask Captain Song. He walked forward a few steps and asked, Sister, you said before that you are not a soldier, is that true? The members of the reserve team, including him and Ji Yu, were transferred from the military. This seems to have become a convention. Moreover, everyone in the reserve team felt that since Miss Lin Fan's family could get her into the reserve team, it would not be a big deal to get another military resume. and the people in 623 naturally accepted her potential identity because they saw Lin Fan wearing the uniform of the reserve team every day, and they all thought she was a soldier. So everyone thought that what Lin Fan said just now was a retort to Jiang Yu out of anger, and did not take it seriously. Instead, they felt disgusted with her for easily denying her identity. You know, most of the time, most people will be proud of their identity as soldiers. Especially the people in the reserve team. If they had not entered the military first and tempered themselves for many years, they would not have had the opportunity to stand in 800 and contribute their own strength to the country's high technology. They felt that Lin Fan denied this hard-earned honor so easily in order to anger Jiang Yu. Sure enough, he came in through the back door. From then on, the impression of Lin Fan became worse. But Gao Fei had been with Lin Fan for a few days and felt that she was not the kind of person who would speak carelessly. He became curious about the truth of this sentence. It's true. Lin Fan tilted his head to look at the excited person. I didn't come from the military. As soon as this was said, Li Chunhua and Ji Yu came over. Yes, Lin Fan seems to be from the Special Affairs Institute. Li Chunhua suddenly remembered where she came from. Doesn't the Special Affairs Institute belong to the military? No, the Special Affairs Institute is a brother unit of the military and is directly under the leadership of the upper level. Song Ren asked Cui Yan, so he knew it more clearly. What kind of unit is the Special Affairs Institute? Gao Fei had never heard of it. Looking at Ji Yu, he saw that he also shook his head. I know, it's a unit that handles some non-scientific events. Wu Tekken came to tell us a lot of things last time, which was very exciting. Li Chunhua said excitedly, it seems to be the same level as our 800. But from this point of view, the level of the Special Affairs Institute is not low. Everyone knows that, because of its scientific research nature, the level of the 800 Institute is much higher than that of ordinary units. It was even higher than the flight base next door. Everyone had heard of the technological products there and knew its importance. And the Special Affairs Office was actually on the same level as the 800, so it must be a very remarkable unit. Even Song Ren tilted his head to look at Lin Fan. Even Cui Yan had never told him the specific situation of the Special Affairs Office. All he knew was a story that Wu Yusen told him at the dinner table. Special Affairs Office. Seeing that everyone wanted to know, Lin Fan carefully recalled how Wu Yusen introduced her when he first met her. The full name is the National Special Function Office, and its predecessor was the 888 Human Research Institute. 888 Human Research Institute? Ji Yu's eyebrows jumped. He had heard of this unit a long time ago. What kind of unit is the 888 Human Research Institute? Li Chunhua asked. He had never heard of it. Song Ren and Gao Fei were also at a loss. Although Ji Yu knew some, it was only fragmentary. In the end, it was Lin Fan who recalled the story Wu Yusen told at the police station and told them roughly, and they finally knew what was going on. The Special Affairs Office has another name among the people, which should be more well known, called the Dragon Group. At the end, Lin Fan added another sentence, but before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by a scream. Dragon Group. Li Chunhua's voice was so loud that the snow on the branches fell off, and several people were unable to react and were sprinkled with snow. Fortunately, it was lunchtime and there were not many people on the playground. Song Ren glanced at Li Chunhua, and he immediately realized his mistake and shrank his neck. Several people quickened their pace and hurried into the training room. The warm room temperature made them feel much more comfortable. Is it really the Dragon Group? Li Chunhua asked hurriedly when he saw that the door was closed and there would be no risk of leaks. Last time, John Woo didn't say that the Special Affairs Office was the Dragon Group. That's what John Woo said, so it should be. Seeing his big reaction, Lin Fan guessed that he must have been fascinated by the Dragon Group for a long time. No wonder, no wonder. Li Chunhua shook her head and said, why didn't I think of it when Wu Tekken told me the story last time? It's obviously in line with the Dragon Group's style of doing things. Gao Fei and Ji Yu leaned over to ask what the story was, and Li Chunhua immediately described it to them vividly. Lin Fan listened on the side and had to say that Li Chunhua's ability to express herself was very strong, just like telling a crosstalk. Drink water. Song Ren handed Lin Fan a cup of hot water and ignored Lee Chun-hua. "Thank you." Lin Fan took the cup of water. The warm touch spread from her fingers to her whole body, and she quickly warmed up. "Anything else?" Gao Fei asked, after listening to Lee Chun-hua's story. "No, Wu Tekin told me so much." Lee Chun-hua was thirsty, took a bottle of water, twisted it open, and poured it into her mouth. Jiu had also been fascinated by the dragon group for a long time. After hesitating for a while, he ran to Lin Fan and asked her if she had anything else to say. "I don't know. I just stayed in the special affairs office for a few days, and basically I was hanging around the medical department." She didn't even know which way the door of the special affairs office opened. "If you still want to know, go ask Jin Sichin. He should know a lot." "Is Dr. Jin also from the special affairs office?" Gao Fei came over at some point. "Yes, Dr. Jin is from the special affairs office. His badge is a golden visitor badge," Lee Chun-hua said. Gao Fei and Jiu had just arrived, so they didn't know anything about visitor badges. They just thought Dr. Jin's badge was very cool and looked very powerful. Lee Chun-hua took the opportunity to explain to them the different meanings of different badge colors and patterns, and she explained it very clearly. "So my sister and Dr. Jin are both from the special affairs office." Gao Fei sighed after listening. "I thought." Song Ren suddenly thought that Cui Yan had always wanted to recruit Lin Fan to 800. By the way, Cui Yan was so resolute, why didn't he make any moves on the issue of Lin Fan's affiliation? If he knew about the existence of ZHU Kunjin, the director of the special affairs office, he would definitely not have any doubts about Cui Yan's abnormal mobility. Looking at the few people who were still chatting leisurely and not satisfied, Song Ren issued an order. "Come on, since you are so energetic in chatting, I believe the following exercise will also be energetic." After an extremely tiring afternoon, after dinner, the group returned to the dormitory and happened to meet Jin Sichin, who was driving back in a small car. "Dr. Jin." Gao Fei greeted him with great joy when he saw him. Jin Sichin looked confused and looked at Lin Fan with a professional fake smile. "They are very interested in the dragon group and want to know more." Lin Fan shrugged helplessly. "How do I know? Let them come and ask you." "So that's it." Jin Sichin smiled and nodded. "It's so cold and dark, it's impossible to stand outside and talk." It happened that he hadn't been to Lin Fan's room for a few days, so he invited everyone to go over and sit down and talk slowly. Cui Yan grabbed people several times, but was blocked by ZHU Kunjin, but he didn't take action. "Do you still remember the Smiling Tiger director ZHU? Remember to vote." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Promotion and Salary Increase. Everyone gathered in Lin Fan's small room, sitting around the round table, listening to Jin Sichin's speech attentively. Jin Sichin didn't say much, but just brought out a few old stories that were widely circulated at the beginning of the establishment of the Special Affairs Office. He knew how to tell the story in a more attractive way and described the rumors in an intriguing way, with constant exclamations. "Okay, I can only say so much. If I continue, I will be punished." Jin Sichin smiled. Everyone had signed a confidentiality agreement, so they naturally knew what he meant and nodded to show their understanding. "Dr. Jin, I have another question. I wonder if I can ask it?" Gao Fei raised his hand weakly. "Tell me." Jin Sichin replied with a smile, probably guessing what he wanted to ask. "I saw you wearing sunglasses all the time, even when it was dark and indoors. Could it be?" Gao Fei hesitated for a moment, and seeing that Jin Sichin was still smiling and encouraging, he no longer hesitated. "Are sunglasses special props?" Jin Sichin was stunned. This was a little different from what he thought, and then he smiled even more happily. "Yes, not only my sunglasses are special props, but Lin Fan's earrings are also. They are made by the boss of our special affairs office." Song Ren knew he was talking nonsense when he heard it. In the past 6 months, Jin Sichin has been wearing sunglasses for at least 20 pairs. How can the boss of the special affairs office be so idle that he can make so many sunglasses? The boss makes sunglasses? Lee Chun-hua muttered. He also felt something was strange. Lin Fan took it seriously and stared at his sunglasses for a while before he was sure that they were not magic tools. Are you teasing them? Jin Sichin smiled with his teeth showing, and the other suddenly realized. Haha, sorry, I think Gao Fen's idea is very interesting. I couldn't help it, so I said what he said. In fact, it's just ordinary glasses. Jin Sichin laughed. Then why does Dr. Jin wear glasses all the time? Gao Fen was not annoyed. He scratched his head and realized that he had said something stupid. The people in the special affairs office gave me a nickname. Do you know what it is? Jin Sichin leaned back in his chair and asked. What is it? Everyone was curious. Have you heard of it, Lin Fan? Jin Sichin did not answer, but asked instead. Lin Fan thought about it and vaguely remembered someone had said it. Special affairs Medusa? Yes. Jin Sichin clapped his hands. So I wear sunglasses for everyone's safety. Medusa's characteristic is that anyone who looks at her will turn into a stone statue. Does Jin Sichin's nickname mean that he also has such an ability? This was the first time Song Ren heard this news. He took a look at Jin Sichin's big sunglasses, which indeed covered his eyebrows and eyes tightly, making them completely invisible. Or do you want to see? Jin Sichin crossed his arms around his chest, raised his chin slightly, and the bottom of the gradient lens vaguely revealed the outline of his eyes. The three people at the table saw it and quickly looked away. Although they were curious, they still didn't dare to bet. After all, in a place like the Special Affairs Office, flying and hiding is not strange, and turning into a stone statue seems to be normal. Lin Fan watched Jin Sichin teasing a few young people with a bad taste and did not expose him. In a sense, his eyes are not much worse than Medusa's. Moreover, compared to turning into a stone statue, it is obviously more terrifying to say whatever you ask after being hypnotized. I always thought that Dr. Jin held a high position in the Special Affairs Institute because of his achievements in psychology. Now I know that I thought it was simple. It turns out that Dr. Jin is also a person with superpowers. Are there many people with superpowers in the Special Affairs Institute? Song Ren asked. Haha, in fact, not all people in the Special Affairs Institute have superpowers. Most of them are ordinary people. It's just that most of the high-ranking people have superpowers. Jin Sichin explained with a smile. What is Dr. Jin's position in the Special Affairs Institute? Lee Chun-hua asked. The pattern on the visitor's pass shows that he is a colonel, but because the Special Affairs Institute is not a military unit, this title has been converted and is not his actual position. It's the director of the medical department. Jin Sichin replied. Then you have been in the institute for so long. Is there no problem with the medical department of the Special Affairs Institute? Gao Fei was puzzled. Can the director be away from work for so long? There are 2 deputy ministers in the medical department. I'm only responsible for the psychological field, and they are responsible for physical medical care, so it doesn't have much impact. When Jin Sichin was in the special office, he was not so active in his work, and most of the psychological tasks were completed by his psychologists. During this period, when his subordinates encountered any unsolvable problems, they would find him through the internet, so there was no problem. What is Lin Fan's position? Lee Chun-hua asked with concern. Lin Fan, like me, is a minister, the minister of the mobile department. Jin Sichin suddenly slapped his forehead and said, your work permit is still in my room. I'll give it to you later. Sister Lin is a minister? Gu was surprised. He remembered that Lee Chun-hua said that Lin Fan was a captain. He couldn't help but glance at her badge. That's right, 4 stars and 1 ring. Lin Fan's badge is a disguise for the purpose of concealing her identity. Song Ren explained to the confused people. Isn't it a minister? I remember it was a deputy minister. Lin Fan vaguely remembered that when he signed the contract, it was said to be a deputy minister. Oh, you were promoted. Jin Sichin explained. After Xingchen was promoted and stabilized, your family promoted you. The salary also increased to the ministerial level. You were busy with physical training at the time, so I forgot to tell you. Lin Fan's work permit was not in her hands because she was in a hurry to leave. Later, because she stayed in 800, the work permit was not sent to her in a hurry. but Xingqian showed his strength and was upgraded, and Lin Fan was able to control it stably. ZHU Kunjin took the initiative to promote Lin Fan directly. After all, in ZHU Kunjin's impression, Lin Fan seemed to care about money. She is now an 800, and there seems to be nothing to reward her, except promotion and salary increase. Anyway, there is only Lin Fan in the mobile department, and there is no difference between the deputy minister and the minister. Wow. Several people exclaimed. If Lin Fan is the minister, then wouldn't he be a colonel like Dr. Jin? Wouldn't that be one level higher than Song Ren? It was also the first time that Song Ren heard of Lin Fan's real position. He always knew that the captain was fake, but he didn't expect it to be a colonel. Just a lone commander. Lin Fan looked at the surprised expressions of several people and added, I'm the only one in my department. I have no power and I don't even have a desk. Well, now I have it. Not only that, but I also have a separate office. Jin Sichin said quickly, it is said that it is no worse than my office. Everything is ready, just waiting for you to go back. Jin Sichin told Director ZHU about the activity room that 800 decorated for Lin Fan without hiding anything. How could the Special Affairs Office lose in such a place? Although Lin Fan could not go back for the time being, and did not need it, she must feel a strong sense of belonging. Moreover, Cui Yan would make moves to snatch people from time to time, although they were all blocked. But after all, Lin Fan had been in 800 for half a year, and in the Special Affairs Office for only 10 days. Director ZHU was worried that the balance in Lin Fan's heart would tilt towards 800. Isn't it just money? All the Special Affairs have. Promotion, salary increase, and decoration of a new office. He also specially made a new work permit and sent it to 800 just to increase Lin Fan's sense of belonging. It's just that Lin Fan wasn't feeling well at that time, so Jin Sichin didn't give it to her for a while, and then, as time went by, she really forgot about it. If it wasn't mentioned today, it's unknown when he would remember it. Several people were amazed at Lin Fan's real position. However, because they had been together for some time, they were already familiar with Lin Fan and knew that she was a person who didn't care. So although they were surprised, they didn't feel particularly awkward. In this case, isn't Sister Lin's rank higher than Captain Song? Gao Fei scratched his head. Oh, right. If Lin Fan's rank is higher than the boss, then is the boss still the captain? Li Chunhe also thought of this question. Usually, subordinates are commanded by their superiors, just like them, who have a low position and have to listen to Song Ren. But Lin Fan's hidden identity has become higher. Can Song Ren still control her? I don't think Sister Lin cares about these. Gu said. Even if Lin Fan is a deputy minister, she is at the same level as Captain Song. Usually, she doesn't seem to have any intention of competing for power. She always executes whatever Captain Song says. Her obedience is better than the others. Of course I listen to Song Ren. Lin Fan spoke up. When you are under him, you just need to listen to him. He will hold up the sky if it falls. I can't worry about that. She said it with an exaggerated expression, and the way she avoided trouble made everyone laugh. Song Ren also put aside his concerns. Lin Fan, he is still the same Lin Fan. I also want to be a minister, get a promotion and a raise, and have a big office. It's impossible in reality. Arrange it for Lin Fan. A lot of money. Vote. Chapter 124. Lin's mother's phone call. Dingling, dingling, dingling. As they were chatting and laughing, a cell phone rang in the bedroom. Lin Fan frowned and seemed reluctant to answer it. The ringing continued, and everyone looked at her in confusion. She finally sighed and stood up helplessly. Unexpectedly, after Lin Fan walked into the bedroom and picked up the phone, she returned to the table and sat down. After the phone was connected, she pressed the hands-free button and put it on the table without any intention of avoiding the people present. She leaned back on the chair with her arms around her chest, frowned slightly and said, "Hello." Even Li Chunhe could see the obvious reluctance on Lin Fan's face. No one had seen Lin Fan like this. No one knew what problem she had encountered, nor who was on the other end of the phone. Everyone remained silent and listened quietly. "Xiao Fan, why did you take so long to answer the phone again?" Lin's mother's high-pitched voice came from the other end of the phone. Jin Sichin glanced at the note on the phone and saw that it was Mom, and couldn't help but frowned. You know, one of the reasons why Lin Fan was depressed was Lin's mother. Not only that, Lin's mother's words and deeds were the last straw that broke the camel's back for Lin Fan. In the later stage of recovery, it was an important cause of the recurrence of the disease. And because of her words, Lin Fan jumped into the river. Of course, nothing happened in the end because of Xingqian, but it is undeniable that Lin's mother is the most unstable factor in Lin Fan's life. In the past 6 months, because of isolation from the outside world and isolation from Lin's mother, Lin Fan's recovery has been very good. It seemed that he would soon enter a stable period, but Lin's mother suddenly called. Jin Sichen had never seen Lin Fan like today, extremely reluctant and irresistible. His face, which was always calm in the past, was obviously sad. Just one phone call showed the great influence of Lin's mother on him. Song Ren didn't know why, but when he saw Jin Sichen frowning, he had a bad feeling. I was busy just now. Lin Fan's tone of voice changed. He was obviously joking just now, but suddenly he became depressed. Not only was he reluctant to speak, but he was also weak. Ji stole a glance at Lin Fan, then looked at the expressions of Jin Sichen and Song Ren, and lowered his head in silence. Oh, every time you call, you say you're busy. I don't know if you're really busy or just pretending. Lin's mother scolded him unhappily. When are you going to have a holiday? The new year is coming soon. When do you plan to come back? Didn't I tell you that our unit doesn't have holidays? Lin Fan said helplessly. She was also helpless in 800. It was not certain when she could go out, and she still had a holiday. How could there be no holiday? What unit doesn't have holidays? I'd like to ask your boss. Lin's mother suddenly raised her voice, and Gao Fei, who was listening attentively, was startled. Lin Fan panicked, exhaled lightly, licked his lips and replied, "This is a confidential mission. Didn't I tell you before? It has to be developed in a completely closed manner. How can you just leave?" Of course, the others knew that Lin Fan was lying. But she was right. In the project team, how can you just leave? The daughter of the old Wang family next door just came back from Gao. I asked her, and she said she had never heard of the company you mentioned. In the past 6 months, there has been no news from you, and no money has been paid. Lin's mother's sharp voice was like a machine gun. What do you mean by confidentiality? I'm so old, and I've never heard of it. Tell me the address of the company, and I'll go find your leader. How can there be no holiday during the Chinese New Year? Lin's mother's voice suddenly became irritable. Don't you want to come back and make excuses to fool us? Do you work in Gao? Or did you do something shameful and dare not go home? It's true that she doesn't want to go home, and it's true that she fooled people, but it's also true that she works. Lin Fan is tired. Alas. She sighed. The others have been listening quietly beside her. It was normal at the beginning, but no one understood why Lin's mother suddenly changed the topic and talked about this. Jin Sichen instantly felt the reason for Lin Fan's depression. With such a mother, anyone would be depressed. He extended his hand in front of Lin Fan and waved at her, indicating that he could help. Lin Fan hesitated for a moment and shook her head to refuse. At this time, Jin Sichen spoke up, and it was even more difficult to explain. She continued on the phone. It's true that the daughter of the Wang family works in Gao, but I remember that she is the company's receptionist, right? What can she know? What else can I do if I don't go to work? Tell me, what shameful things can I do? Lin Fan was also angry and laughed. When she left home, she was a fat woman weighing 170 pounds. What shameful things could she do? Mother Lin choked and realized that she had said something inappropriate. But can she admit it? Of course not, she said stubbornly. Then you haven't contacted me for such a long time, and you don't have any money to bring back. Can you blame people for not thinking about it? Okay, I neglected it. I will send the money back in 2 days. Is this okay? Lin Fan looked at Jin Sichen and Song Ren, and saw that they both nodded. Knowing that he could send money out, he put down the burden in his heart. Didn't Jin Sichen just say that he would give her a raise? Any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem. Do I want to ask you for money? I want you to go home. Lin's mother's voice became even more unhappy. After a pause, she asked again, how much money can it be? The people who were listening were speechless. Isn't this just asking for money? Everyone knew that Lin Fan had depression, but they didn't know what caused it. In view of personal privacy, Jin Sichin did not disclose it to them. At this moment, everyone suddenly understood and looked at Lin Fan with sympathy. Yes. Lin Fan paused. She told Lin's mother that the annual salary plus bonus was 300,000. It's only been half a year now, and it's not time to give out bonuses. How much should be given? Lin Fan, who is not good at math, calculated quickly in his mind. Why is there no sound? After waiting for a while and hearing nothing, Lin's mother tapped the receiver. Hello, Xyanophon? Where is she? Yes. Lin Fan roughly estimated a number. 100,000. I'll give you 100,000. Is it enough for the new year? 100,000. Lin's mother's voice suddenly became smaller, and after a burst of noise, Lin's father's voice came from the receiver. What did you say to the child again? What can I say? Let her come back for the new year. Although Lin's mother's voice became smaller, she sounded more irritable. Lin's father didn't believe what Lin's mother said at all. He clearly heard the money. Xyanophon. Lin's father's gentle voice came, and everyone present saw that Lin Fan was obviously relieved and relaxed a lot. Dad. Lin Fan felt as if he hadn't heard Lin's father's voice for a long time. The last time he heard it seemed to be last century. A few perceptive people have already noticed that Lin Fan called dad here, but he hadn't called mom just now. How is Xyanophon recently? Is he healthy? As usual, Lin's father first cared about the child's health. Very good. Lin Fan's eyes were a little sore. Sure enough, no matter how long it takes, such care will touch her heart. The others also breathed a sigh of relief. Right, this is how a normal family phone call unfolds. Has anyone noticed that Lin Fan has never called her mom? Haha, a small foreshadowing, although it seems to be useless for the overall plot. Lin Fan has a knot in his heart and resents Lin's mother. Vote to encourage. Chapter 125 Account. Don't take your mother's words to heart. Lin's father had said this admonition countless times, and it seemed to have become a cliché like the opening remarks. But Lin Fan still said HMM. I was planning to call you these days to ask you. The new year is coming soon. Can you go home for the new year? Of course, Lin's father also saw that the daughter of the old Wan family had returned. It was already the end of the year, and the Fu character was being sold on the street. Thinking of Lin Fan's previous words, he didn't dare to delay the child's work, and didn't dare to call. Unexpectedly, Lin's mother called Lin Fan herself. Lin's father also heard her noisy and came to see what she was doing. As a result, he found that she was talking to Lin Fan on the phone, and she was talking about 100,000 yuan. Lin's father was shocked and quickly snatched the phone away. Lin Fan spent every day at the base and had no specific concept of time. She knew that winter was coming and the weather was getting colder. On New Year's Day, the elders of 623 gave her a surprise and prepared a birthday celebration for her in the activity room. She ate the birthday cake she hadn't seen for a long time and received many gifts. Even John Woo sent a birthday gift in advance and entrusted Jin Sichin to deliver it to him. In addition to the gifts, Lee Chunhua, Song Ren, and Jin Sichin also gave her 3 bouquets of flowers. Her room was filled with the fragrance of flowers for several days. Lin Fan cherished the 3 bouquets of flowers and made them into dried flowers. Even though the colors were not as beautiful as before, they were always placed in the room. There was a bouquet on the dining table, a bouquet on the coffee table, and a bouquet on the desk in the bedroom. After New Year's Day, it was January. However, she seemed to have erased the new year from her consciousness. Thinking that her family was still waiting for her call, she actually felt guilty. But after Lin's mother made such a fuss, the guilt disappeared without a trace and was replaced by a kind of escape. Lin's father now took the phone and spoke to her in a gentle voice, and she felt sad again. Her parents are old, and all they look forward to throughout the year is a reunion. And she hadn't thought about them at all in the past 6 months. I may not be able to take a vacation here. I have to follow the leader's arrangements and keep it confidential. There's nothing I can do. What Lin Fan said was true. But I will transfer 100,000 yuan to your card for you to use during the new year. Don't save it. You 2 old people can also go for a physical checkup before the new year. No, why spend that money? Lin's father refused hurriedly. Your mother and I are in good health. We just have high blood pressure and diabetes, which are old problems. You know, we have been taking medicine all the time. It's nothing." He took a breath and said, "We have money to use. You don't have to transfer so much money back. Keep the rest for yourself. I remember your monthly salary is 20,000 yuan. It's only been half a year, and you only get 120,000 yuan in total. You still have to use it yourself. How can you transfer 100,000 yuan? Are you reluctant to spend it?" When Lin's father said this, he suddenly became a little excited. "Xiaofan, don't save money. You are in poor health. You are alone outside. You need to strengthen your nutrition. Don't save money, understand? Your mother and I are fine. You don't have to worry about us. You just need to take good care of yourself outside." Everyone gathered around the table, listening to Lin's father's earnest words, and the discomfort aroused by Lin's mother just now was slowly soothed. "No. I eat well, dress well, and get good treatment from the company. My dormitory is a separate small villa, which is very comfortable. My colleagues are also very nice to me. By the way, Dad, I was promoted to department head, and my salary has also increased, much more than before." Lin Fan smiled from the bottom of his heart. Everyone found that Lin Fan's face suddenly exuded a soft glow. The various impressions of him in the past, whether cold, friendly, or strong, were all melted in this gentleness now. It makes people feel warm in their hearts. "Promoted to department head," Lin's father said with a smile, but Lin's mother interrupted him. "Weren't you the department head?" Lin Fan was stunned. She forgot. It turned out that her position on Ri Riheng's work permit was department head. She had mentioned it on the phone before, but she didn't expect Lin's mother to still remember it. Sure enough, lying is easy to make mistakes. She frowned in annoyance. "Weren't you the department head before? How did you get promoted to department head again? Are you lying to us?" Lin's mother yelled as she leaned over to the phone. "That's enough. Let the child speak properly. Why are you yelling at him?" There was another noise on the phone. "Xiaofan, you speak. Don't pay attention to your mother." Lin Fan's brain raced, and he quickly found an excuse. "I was promoted to the director of another department, which is higher than the previous level." "Oh, is that so? I was valued by the leader." Lin's father was very happy. Lin's mother asked beside him, "So how much has your salary increased now? Is it 1 million a year?" Lin Fan was speechless. It has been half a year, and he still hasn't forgotten the 1 million a year salary. Not 1 million a year, about 100,000 a year more. Lin Fan wanted to say 500,000, but thought about it and said less. "That's just a little. Didn't the boss say before that he would give you 1 million a year? Is it because you are not working hard enough?" Lin's mother felt that more than 400,000 was not much, and it was more than half of her goal. "Are you enough? Don't you know the child's situation? What's the use of having so much money? Is it for you to invest?" Lin's father got angry. "You." Lin's mother wanted to argue with Lin's father, but after hearing the last sentence, she finally stopped. The investment failure was her biggest pain. Why did this old man still poke people's wounds? Lin's mother knew that she was in the wrong, and she sat aside with a pout. In fact, 400,000 a year is not a small amount. Lin Fan used to work in Gao and only made more than 200,000 a year. Lin's mother knew it. It's just that she had 1 million hanging on her head before, which made her heart always restless. "Stop arguing." Lin Fan reluctantly nodded on the phone to persuade them to stop arguing. "Don't argue, don't argue, don't worry." Lin's father walked aside and said with a smile while holding the phone, "Anyway, I'm not short of money here. It's good, but I probably won't be able to go back for the new year. I'll transfer 100,000 to your card. I know you are also short of money, and a little more money will make you feel at ease. Just consider it as my filial piety to you. Don't worry about me. I perform well, and maybe I can get a raise in the future." Lin Fan didn't know how much money was in her card, but it should be more than 100,000. Anyway, she couldn't use the 800, so she might as well transfer it to her family to give her parents some confidence. Old people are like this. They feel confident when they have money on their cards. Okay, Dad got it. Dad listens to you." Lin's father felt relieved after hearing this, and his eyes narrowed with a smile. Then send me the card number later, and I will transfer it to you when I'm free in the next 2 days. Lin Fan said, and specifically reminded, I need your card, and the username must be you. She was afraid of Lin's mother. It was not easy for her to get this money. It can be said that she earned it with her life, and it can't be wasted again. Don't worry, don't you know your father's work? Lin's father smiled and joked. Lin Fan laughed. Putting aside Lin's mother, Lin's father's work is still reassuring. In addition, Lin's mother had caused the family to suffer a great loss before, and both of them in the family were wary of her and didn't let her take large sums of money, so there shouldn't be any problems. Okay, then it's settled. You don't have to worry about me. I'm fine, really. My boss treats me well, and my colleagues are nice, too. When Lin Fan said this, he looked up at the quiet crowd and smiled. Okay. Lin's father said okay 3 times in a row. I'm relieved when you're okay. If you really can't come back for the new year, we will understand. Work is the priority. If you have the opportunity to come back in the future, it doesn't have to be during the new year. Don't feel burdened. Okay, I got it. Lin Fan replied with a smile. Lin's father's consideration gave her a lot of encouragement. Then take care of your health. Don't save money. Tell me if you need money, okay? I got it. Hang up quickly, little housekeeper. Lin's father smiled and urged Lin Fan to hang up the phone. Lin Fan followed his words and hung up the phone reluctantly. Lin's father looked at the hung up phone and sighed. Alas. Lin's father certainly wanted Lin Fan to go home for the new year, but he understood Lin Fan's position and expressed his support. Behind every person who can concentrate on their struggle, there is someone who supports them wholeheartedly. Come on for support. Ask for votes. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.